The journey of a Pokemon researcher. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1, The Ranger of Viridian Forest. In this world dominated by Pokemon, the change of seasons is not very obvious in most areas, and some areas even have only one season all year round. However, for the Rangers of Evergreen Forest, the change of seasons is easy to identify. Through the growth patterns of the insect-type Pokemon living naturally in Evergreen Forest, the change of seasons can be clearly judged. As the Pokemon with the lowest evolution level, caterpillars and hornworms usually appear in large numbers in spring. Caterpillars in the natural environment can only gain experience through food and a small amount of battle. These experiences are not enough to support them to evolve into Butterfree or Beedrill, but they will speed up their growth by burning their lives, so caterpillars and Beedrills under natural conditions have a lifespan of about 1 year. A middle-aged ranger was walking through the forest with 2 children, a boy and a girl. "Dad, aren't these caterpillars too pitiful?" said the girl who looked younger. "There is nothing we can do about it. We have to do this to adapt to the environment. After all, their reproductive capacity is too strong. I just counted them. There seem to be too many caterpillars and hornworms this year. They may cause damage to the forest," said the older boy. What his father just said was mainly for his sister. After a pause, the boy continued, "Although it is the peak season for new trainers to set out, not many trainers will choose to catch these 2 insects. Instead, bird Pokemon such as Spearow and Pidgeot will be caught in large numbers, which will cause more harm. According to my statistics some time ago, the number of eggs laid by Butterfree and Beedrill this year is not much different from previous years, and their natural enemies in the forest have not changed. It seems that the hatching rate has increased for unknown reasons. The hatching rate of wild Pokemon eggs has always been a problem because no one takes care of them. Smarter Pokemon such as Pidgeot will take care of themselves. Although the hatching rate is lower than that of artificial care, the difference is not big. Butterfree and Beedrill adopt a mode of casting a wide net like insects in nature in their previous lives." He stopped reminiscing and continued, "As for the solution, we can apply to the league to hold a bug catching competition. Although not all participating trainers will take the bugs they catch away, the bug catching competition can speed up the evolution of the bugs, whether they evolve into pupae or adults, and the pressure on the forest will be much less. It can also increase the popularity of the town and allow the townspeople to generate income. Yes, it's a good idea. I'll write an application when I get back." The man affirmed his son's idea. "Brother is amazing. Oh, I heard it all. Brother Xuanjian, you gave birth to a good son. If you get this done, then after the old captain retires, the successor must be you." A voice came from behind the tree, and a man dressed as a forest ranger came out. "Hello, Uncle Ichiro. These are the 2 little guys. Xuanjian, Yuzi, hello. Ichiro, you are too kind." Xuanjian said modestly. "You are too modest. Brother Xuanjian is the best among us. He was originally very likely to take over. With this great achievement, there will be no problem." Ichiro came over and patted the boy's shoulder, originally wanted to touch his head, but remembered that he seemed to hate this behavior, so he patted his shoulder instead. "You are so good at such a young age. Xuanjian will definitely be an excellent forest ranger in the future. It's because your level is too bad." Xuanjian thought silently. Because of the existence of elves, the development trajectory of this world is naturally different from that of the previous life. At least the natural resources in this world are not a big problem for most people to fill their stomachs, so people's motivation to strive is naturally not strong. Most people in this world only complete the Enlightenment education of basic knowledge in school, and further development depends on their own luck. Ichiro kept praising Xuanjian for having a successor, but Xuanjian just smiled bitterly. This child's goal has never been to become an excellent forest ranger. The 2 teams talked for a while and then separated and patrolled according to their own routes. Xuanjian popularized various knowledge to his daughter who was entering the forest for the first time, while Xuanjian observed and recorded while picking some herbs. With a senior forest ranger leading the way, of course there would be no such plot as accidentally entering the gathering place of giant bees. After a morning, the family of 3 finished their work and returned to the town. Kyanmo Village is an inconspicuous and ordinary town. Although it is not far from the Viridian Gym, People generally choose to go directly to Viridian City, where the Pokémon Center is located, and then go to the Viridian Gym from there. The Viridian Gym is not in the city. The families or ancestors of the residents of Kyanmo Village are rangers of the Viridian Forest. The rich products of the Viridian Forest have supported generations of townspeople. Because of their generations of forest protection work, the captain of the forest rangers is generally regarded as the mayor of the town by default and is an official in the alliance. As the most promising candidate to take over the captain, Xuanjian is very popular in the town and almost returned home with the greetings along the way. The house is built with wood from the Viridian Forest. Although it looks a bit simple, it is actually very solid and warm, just like the job of a forest ranger. Although it is ordinary and inconspicuous, it is peaceful and happy. As a family whose main source of income is the father's salary and the sale of some herbs and fruits, it is naturally impossible for them to have a precious Pokémon like Xuanjian's family to act as a nanny. All the housework at home is done by the mother herself. As a traditional housewife, Miyako is very satisfied with her life and is proud of her husband and children. Seeing her husband and children come home, Miyako immediately brought out the lunch that had been prepared long ago. Xuanjian, there is a letter for you. I put it in the drawer. Miyako said to Xuanjian, who was washing up. Okay, Mom. Xuanjian didn't care about eating, quickly wiped his hands, and took out the letter from the drawer. With excitement, Xuanjian opened the envelope. Dear Mr. Xuanjian, congratulations on passing the exam with excellent results and obtaining the qualification of trainee researcher. Since you have just turned 10 years old, you have not had the corresponding alliance-recognized identity before. If you need an initial Pokémon and Pokémon illustrated book, please reply to the letter as soon as possible and bring your ID card and qualification certificate to the Pokémon Center to collect it according to the time we reply to you. Please keep working hard. The envelope from the Kanto Alliance also included a certificate of qualification. I passed. I passed. Xuanjian shouted excitedly. Ever since he knew he had traveled to the world of Pokémon, he wanted to travel the world like Xuanjian. But reality is always so cruel. In the anime, the illustrated book and the initial 3 starters that can be obtained when you turn 10 years old not only require a huge fee that ordinary families cannot afford, but also the number of places is limited, and they are often digested internally, and often there is no market for them. Of course, you can also become a free trainer, but the Pokémon Center will not be open to you for free. The huge treatment costs after the battle alone make many people discouraged. In addition to direct purchase, obtaining an official identity recognized by the Alliance, such as a breeder, and graduating from a Pokémon school can also get an illustrated book and the opportunity to purchase the 3 starters at an internal price. For the son of a forest ranger, the cost of the Pokémon Academy opened specifically for nobles is not much different from direct purchase, and both are unaffordable. Then he can only go through other channels. Xuanjian, who has no family background, can only rely on his experience of playing Pokémon in his previous life and his strong learning ability to study on his own, hoping to pass the most promising trainee researcher status. Finally, my efforts paid off. My new book is on the market. Please support me. Chapter 2 Family Love. Brother is so awesome. Yizi looked at her brother with admiration. Although she was still young, she also understood that her brother had done something extraordinary. Okay, don't get excited, let's eat first. Although Xuanjian, who knew his son very well, hoped that his son would inherit the job of forest ranger, which was passed down from generation to generation, he was also very happy that his son was so outstanding. Not everyone has a mother who is a chef. Miyako's cooking skills can only be said to be average, but the home-cooked dishes taste very delicious, which is incomparable to any chef. At the dinner table, Xuanjian was still trying to change his son's mind. Xuanjian, we are all very happy that you have become a trainee researcher, but are you really determined to go out for a trip? You know, it's very hard. I know. I am not really a child, of course I know that the travel process will not be as glamorous as in the anime, but it will be full of hardships. If you want to be a trainer or a researcher, you can stay in the town. My original purpose was to go out and see. The world is so big, who doesn't want to go out and see? It's just that there are too many things that are beyond one's control. Live again, while you don't have to carry so many things, go out for a walk. But it costs a lot to travel. Traveling abroad will definitely cost a lot more, and as a trainee researcher at the lowest level, the Alliance basically does not provide any subsidies. This is a big burden for the family. I know, so I have been saving money, and now I have enough to last for a while. After I get 3 official gym badges, I can take on some tasks issued by the Alliance. Xuanjian said his plan. Then don't you plan to get the initial Pokémon provided by the Alliance? Sanjing didn't expect that his son had already made plans. He thought his son was saving money to buy the 3 starter Pokémons. After obtaining the official status recognized by the Alliance, the internal price of the 3 starter Pokémons is completely different from the original. Ordinary people only need to save for a few years. I'll think of a way later. Xuanjian said casually, but in fact he was also very distressed. The initial 3 starter Pokémons are very precious, especially Charmander. You. Don't talk about it for now, eat first, otherwise the food will get cold. Mieko interrupted the conversation between the father and son, and the two of them stopped talking at the right time. After dinner, the family never mentioned this topic again. They were thinking and planning. The atmosphere at home seemed a little weird, which was unusual in this warm little home. As a small country village, Cyanmo village has no nightlife except for some special days. People have long been accustomed to the law of life of working from sunrise to sunset. The night in Cyanmo village is quiet, without the noise of the big city, and people are used to going to bed early. In the bedroom of Xuanjian, the couple has not rested yet. Alice, it is also a happy trouble that the child is too good. Let him go. Cyanmo town is too small. Mieko suddenly said. Xuanjian looked at his wife in surprise, and he didn't believe that these words came from his wife. In Xuanjian's impression, his wife is a gentle person. Before marriage, she used to listen to her father, and after marriage, she used to listen to her own opinions and rarely expressed her opinions. And if you want to say who is most reluctant to let the child go out to suffer, it must be the wife. It is incredible that the wife actually took the initiative to let her son go out to travel. Ignoring her husband's surprise, Mieko continued, Xuanjian has a good talent. In a family like ours, it is rare that he can pass the exam without any systematic study. Such a talent should not be buried in the village with ancient secrets. Sanjing did not answer, as if thinking about something. On the other side, Xuanjian's room also welcomed a visitor. Yeezy, why are you still not asleep so late? What do you want to see me for? Xuanjian asked, looking at his sister who sneaked into his room. For Xuanjian, who is an only child in his previous life, being a brother is a novel feeling, and because of his older psychological age, there are naturally fewer conflicts between brothers and sisters, so the relationship between brothers and sisters has always been very good. Brother, I brought this for you. Yeezy held up a Jigglypuff doll, and Xuanjian knew that it was his sister's piggy bank. Under his own words and deeds, his sister also developed a good habit of saving money. The Jigglypuff doll contains all her pocket money. I know that my brother must go on a trip, and it seems that he doesn't have enough money. I saved some money myself, but I haven't figured out how to use it yet. I'll lend it to my brother now. Xuanjian suddenly felt warm in his heart. The money in the piggy bank was saved by his sister with great difficulty. She was not like him, who could follow his father into the forest to collect some herbs for money. Her savings were all saved from her own pocket money. Xuanjian also knew a little about the purpose of his sister's saving money. She had always wanted to buy a beautiful princess dress, but this kind of dress was not suitable for her family. Her parents would not agree, so she had been secretly saving money and rarely ate her favorite sweets. Okay, then thank you, Yeezy. You are really my brother's good sister. Xuanjian accepted his sister's friendship, although the money was not enough to buy a better Pokeball. Come, let your brother kiss you. No. I'm a big kid, I can't let boys kiss me casually. Yeezy ran away. Xuanjian, who didn't kiss the sweet and soft little Lolita, was left alone with regret. The smiling Xuanjian was about to rest when he suddenly found that his father had come to the door of his room without knowing when. You're not asleep yet, come with me. Okay, is there anything you need so late? Xuanjian didn't answer, but turned and walked towards the backyard. Chapter 3, The Power of Evergreen. Xuanjian followed his father to the backyard for no apparent reason and stopped in front of the shrine. The night in early spring was quiet, without the interference of artificial light sources. The quiet moonlight sprinkled on the shrine, making it look particularly mysterious. On the shrine was a god whose image could not be seen clearly. It was unclear whether it was a human or a Pokemon. According to ancient rules, unless you become a forest ranger, you are not qualified to come into contact with these. The first sentence was full of the vicissitudes of history. Xuanjian felt as if he was about to know some great secret. The elves in this world are far more powerful than humans. They have many unknown secrets of their own, which constantly attract people to explore. However, Xuanjian never thought that there were secrets hidden in his own backyard. Ignoring Xuanjian's surprise, Xuanjian said in a storytelling tone, "There is a legend circulating around the evergreen forest. Every 10 years, a child born in the evergreen forest will awaken the power of evergreen. In fact, they don't know that the people of Kayamo village, who have been guarding the evergreen forest for generations, are qualified to awaken the power of evergreen since birth. It's just that the power of evergreen comes from the gift of the evergreen forest. Excessive use will destroy the forest, and it has more important uses, so the number of people who can awaken is limited. 10 generations of our family have been forest rangers guarding the evergreen forest. Originally, you were going to inherit the power of evergreen accumulated and passed down from generation to generation as the 11th generation heir. But you chose to take a different path, so you lost the qualification to inherit. How about it? Do you regret it? It's not too late to regret it now." Xuanjian shook his head. Although he was also tempted by the power of evergreen, it was not enough to change his original intention. And if he couldn't have this powerful power in his life, then why did his father bring him here and tell him the secret? Xuanjian smiled bitterly and reached out to take out the Pokeball from his waist. "Come out, Scyther." A red and majestic Pokemon appeared in front of the two. This is the evolution of Scyther, Scyther. Although the total racial value has not changed much compared to the Scyther before evolution, the attribute change from Bugfly to Bugsteel makes it have no restraint except for the fire type. For the Rangers, is there any Pokemon in Kanto more suitable than it? Xuanjian always felt that his father could become the strongest among the Rangers, largely because of the attribute. After all, the Pokemon of the Rangers are mainly grass, bug, flying, and general. There is no fire type that is 4 times restrained to Scyther, and even few people learn fire skills. Patrol the surroundings and protect us. Xuanjian ordered Scyther. Scyther nodded and left, leaving a red figure. It can be seen that this Scyther is very strong. I know I can't persuade you, but we are really worried about you traveling alone as a child, so I decided to leave you some cards. Although I can't violate the rules to let you get the power of evergreen, I can help you remove the seal that prevents you from awakening, and plant a seed for you. If you have enough opportunities, you can awaken the power of evergreen. However, you have lost the protection of the forest. Although you can still use the power of evergreen, it consumes your own vitality. You should know the consequences of overusing it. Xuanjian nodded. His heart was extremely excited, but he still tried to be patient and listen to his father's instructions. After all, this is related to his life. A small amount of loss of vitality can be naturally compensated, but excessive consumption is not only difficult to make up, but also endangers life. Seeing Xuanjian's serious attitude, Xuanjian nodded, and said without further ado, "Then let's start. Get ready." "Ah?" Xuanjian asked in confusion, "What preparations?" "Watch carefully, relax your whole body, and don't do anything else." Xuanjian stretched out his hand. Years of work made his big hands look rough and powerful. A green light full of vitality rose from his palm, enveloping his entire hand. Countless green dots of light floated from nowhere in the air, flying around the backyard, like fireflies in the sky on a summer night. Xuanjian put his hands together and bowed to the statue. Guardian Xuanjian requests to take back the power of Changpan accumulated by the family for generations. As soon as he finished speaking, the statue lit up, and a ball of green light that was almost condensed into reality flew out of it and landed in front of Xuanjian. Xuanjian began to chant ancient spells. Xuanjian had also learned these spells under Xuanjian's teachings, but he had never found any use for them. He just thought it was a lost ancient language. Golden sunlight spread from the sky to the earth. Plants collected it bit by bit and condensed it into the essence to nourish all things. The guardians followed the ancient agreement to guard this great miracle. All things also gave the original force of life as a reward. A new guardian is about to be born. Please continue this gift. Life condenses into new seeds and plants it in new fertile soil, waiting to sprout and continue. As Xuanjian chanted this spell, the green light continued to condense and finally turned into a seed and fell into Xuanjian's hand. Looking at all this, Xuanjian was stunned. He didn't expect that such a big secret was hidden in the things he had learned since he was a child and the inconspicuous statue in his backyard. Xuanjian stood up and pressed the seed in his hand, which was still glowing green, to the stunned Xuanjian's heart. The seed sank into Xuanjian's body, and then all the visions disappeared. Only his father's tired face and the plants growing wildly in the yard proved that all this was not a dream. It seems that there is no change. Xuanjian felt it. Apart from feeling refreshed and his body fatigue swept away, he didn't seem to feel anything special. You will know when the time comes. Such a perfunctory and familiar answer. Xuanjian complained silently. Although I didn't study hard when I taught you, you can understand the spells I chanted. Xuanjian said with a hint of ridicule. His son has been serious and studious since he was a child. These spells are the few things he didn't study hard. But when you were young, you were also like this when your father taught you, right? I can understand. Xuanjian nodded. At this moment, he regretted that he didn't study hard. But I can't remember those spells. Xuanjian said a little embarrassedly. It's okay. These spells don't require a fixed rhythm. You just need to be careful. Xuanjian smiled. He was like this when he was young. Back to the point, Xuanjian continued, the power of Changpan comes from the gift of all things. If you want to fully awaken, you must become the guardian of the balance of nature. Xuanjian nodded. This request was not high. And this is for you. Xuanjian handed over a check. Xuanjian, who had a rough estimate of his family's savings, saw that it was almost all the money that his family could divert. Isn't it a bad way to empty the family's coffers? The most precious power of Changpan accumulated by 10 generations in the family is given to you. What's this? Don't make a living by wasting the power of Changpan in vain and making excuses that you don't have enough money. Thank you. I will definitely succeed. Xuanjian felt as if something was flowing from the corner of his eyes. The elves will appear in the next chapter. I will explain the background in these few chapters. Please give more votes. Chapter 4 Magikarp. A good night's sleep proves that there is no necessary connection between sleep and fatigue. Since there is no on-site 3 choice, you must indicate which of the 3 Pokémon you want when playing. After considering it, Xuanjian chose Charmander. Although in theory the 3 Pokémon are equally precious, there are still differences. Let's not talk about the appearance of Charizard, which is far superior to the other 2 in the final evolution, but Charizard has the best racial value distribution, and Charizard can only be obtained legally in Charizard Valley except for the Alliance. As for the possibility of picking up an abandoned Charmander, if you are not Long Ocean, please ignore it. Not to mention that such precious Pokémon are basically abandoned by few people. Even if they are abandoned, there are many people who grab them, and the Alliance keeps track of the 3 Pokémon of the initial trainer at any time, and if they are really abandoned, they are likely to be recycled. The fact that Zidai collected the 3 Pokémon by collecting other people's abandoned Pokémon is completely the effect of the protagonist's halo. After breakfast and sending the letter, Xuanjian came to the river outside the village. He picked up a stone and knocked 3 times on a half-submerged rock. Then a red Magikarp floated up in the river. Compared to the dull Magikarp, this Magikarp seemed much more agile. Seeing Xuanjian coming, Magikarp kept jumping out of the water, his eyes narrowed into slits with joy. I brought you delicious meatballs. Xuanjian took out the dumplings he brought. Although he was not a breeder, he could still make some simple food. In any case, it was much more nutritious and delicious than water plants. Next, Xuanjian took out a meatball and threw it at Magikarp. Magikarp made a beautiful splashing jump, caught a meatball, and swallowed it with satisfaction. For Pokémon like Magikarp, gaining experience through food is the mainstream before evolving into Gyarados. Only in the game will players throw a lot of medicine into it to upgrade it through battle. As a loser, Xuanjian certainly couldn't take this kind of rich way. The probability of an ordinary Magikarp evolving into Gyarados is not high. In fact, this Magikarp was also carefully selected. It came from 2 wild Gyarados. A year ago, in a small lake in the Evergreen Forest, 2 Gyarados appeared, not knowing whether the Magikarp evolved or migrated from other places. There is never a lack of trainers interested in this kind of fierce Pokémon. Moreover, the difficulty of recovering the Gyarados that appeared in the small lake is naturally much smaller than that in the river and the sea. This naturally attracted several groups of trainers. After a fierce battle, the Gyarados was finally recovered, but the surrounding environment was also destroyed. When Xuanjian followed his father to repair the environment, he found a well-hidden Magikarp egg at the bottom of the lake. This is an egg that is much larger than an ordinary Magikarp egg. Xuanjian guessed that it might be the offspring of two Gyarados, so he brought it back and cultivated it carefully. In the end, he got the Magikarp in front of him. Although this Magikarp looks about the same size as an ordinary Magikarp, and it does not show that it was hatched from such a large egg, this Magikarp is much smarter than its peers. After eating the meatballs, the Magikarp seemed very satisfied. These balls are added with some tree fruits and other nutrients, which are not only delicious but also nutritious. Xuanjian took off his shoes, rolled up his trouser legs, went into the shallow water, and played with Magikarp. After Magikarp evolved into Gyarados, its combat power was very different. Many trainers could not adapt to this change for a while and suffered a great loss. Xuanjian naturally wanted to prevent this from happening. But as a novice trainer, the level is naturally not high, and it is still very difficult to control the Gyarados whose combat power has skyrocketed after evolution. For this reason, Xuanjian thought of a way, that is, to increase intimacy as much as possible, so Xuanjian brought special food to Magikarp every day and played with it. Magikarp, I have become a trainer, do you want to travel with me? Xuanjian asked. He spent a lot of thought on Magikarp. In addition to preparing food for it every day, he also took it to bully those equally weak green caterpillars and unicorns to gain experience. Fearing that Magikarp would miss the peaceful life here, Xuanjian added, there is a vast ocean outside, you can experience a completely different feeling from here. Magikarp jumped a few times, and based on his experience of getting along with him, Xuanjian judged that this was a sign of willingness. But then Magikarp wagged its tail again and left Xuanjian's side. What does this mean? Xuanjian was a little confused. Magikarp then made a few gestures, and Xuanjian guessed, are you saying that I have to defeat you? Magikarp affirmed. Okay, wait until I get the initial Pokémon. As a result, Magikarp denied it again. Well, you mean you want me to use my own strength? It was affirmed again. Okay, then why don't we start now? Xuanjian felt that it was not difficult to defeat a Magikarp personally. Magikarp affirmed, and then retreated a distance. Then start. As soon as the voice fell, Magikarp rushed over, and the red figure left a red line in the water, and suddenly rushed out of the water and crashed into it. This is one of the two attack skills that Magikarp can learn, collision. Xuanjian crossed his hands to block the attack, but the Magikarp that fell instantly jumped up and hit Xuanjian's chest fiercely. Xuanjian lost his balance and fell into the water. Is this a combination of collision and water splashing? Magikarp's strength is not outstanding, and the damage of simple collision is very small. Xuanjian has been trying to train it to combine the two, but he didn't expect it to succeed. The two skills are used together, and the effect is really outstanding. He is much bigger than Magikarp and he has knocked it down. There is no problem dealing with small Pokémon. While thinking, Xuanjian did not stop his actions. He simply lay down in the water, so that Magikarp could not use joint attacks. Magikarp could only use collision to hit, but because of insufficient strength, it was caught by Xuanjian, who pounced down and pressed it under him with a posture of Mount I. Xuanjian locked Magikarp with both hands, and Magikarp struggled hard, but couldn't break free. Give up. Xuanjian hugged Magikarp tightly and stood up. Magikarp paused, as if he was about to give up. But then a force burst out from it. Fortunately, Xuanjian did not relax, so it still did not break free. This is the last struggle. Xuanjian guessed. Apart from this, Magikarp seems to be unable to learn other skills. But unfortunately, the more serious the damage, the greater the power of the skill of the last struggle. Magikarp did not suffer any damage, so its attack power was not strong. Thinking of this, Xuanjian could not help but feel happy. Magikarp could learn this skill, which means that its level is almost close to the lowest level of evolution. Seeing that the skill did not work, Magikarp also gave up resistance and let Xuanjian report it to his arms. So you admit defeat. Magikarp opened and closed its mouth several times to show that it admitted defeat. Then from today on, you are my elf. Don't worry, you will definitely be able to eat delicious food and drink spicy food with me. Xuanjian put Magikarp back into the water and said to it seriously. Magikarp jumped up happily, and suddenly, a figure rushed straight from the air towards Magikarp who was jumping up. Be careful. Xuanjian recognized it as a Spearow. Compared to Pidgeot, it was more aggressive and liked meat. Magikarp and various juvenile insect-type Pokémon were on its menu. Chapter 5, Battle against Spearow. Seeing the Spearow attacking Magikarp, Xuanjian decisively reached out his hand to stop the Spearow that rushed towards Magikarp in midair. If Magikarp was caught by it, he would not be able to catch up. The Spearow, which was swooping down quickly, found that someone dared to stop it from catching prey. It was furious and pecked Xuanjian's arm fiercely, then circled and flew back into the air. There was a sharp pain from the place where the Spearow pecked fiercely. Xuanjian rolled up his sleeves and found that his arm was actually bruised and swollen. It could be seen that he had indeed angered the Spearow. However, taking advantage of this moment of obstruction, the Magikarp fell back into the water safely. The Magikarp that returned to the water was like a bird returning to the sky. It was in a safe situation, and Xuanjian also breathed a sigh of relief. The Spearow hovering in the air was extremely annoyed to see that the enemy was just a little kid. Even those adults did not dare to provoke it casually, but this little kid was so bold. Furious, the Spearow gave up the idea of leaving. Instead, it attacked Xuanjian. Xuanjian could only awkwardly protect his vitals with his hands while trying to dodge. Sure enough, it makes sense that the flying type restrains the fighting type. One side can attack 360 degrees at will, while the other side can only passively take the beating. It would be strange if it is not restrained. Just as the Spearow swooped down again, Magikarp suddenly jumped up and used two skills at the same time, knocking the Spearow away fiercely. Unfortunately, with Magikarp's strength and size, the collision was not a powerful skill, and the damage was not great, which made the Spearow even angrier. The guy who he regarded as food actually dared to attack him, which was simply unforgivable. The angry Spearow immediately changed its target and pounced on Magikarp. Seeing that the Spearow changed its target and pounced on Magikarp, Xuanjian ordered, "Magikarp, dive into the water." Magikarp immediately executed Xuanjian's order, leaving the Spearow empty-handed, with only a scratch on the water surface with its sharp claws, which disappeared with the flow of water. Seeing that the attack did not work and the prey hid in a place where he could not attack, the Spearow changed its target again and attacked Xuanjian. However, Magikarp lurking in the water soon took the opportunity to attack it again. "Dive down." Xuanjian gave a concise order as he watched Spearow attack Magikarp again. Magikarp once again dodged Spearow's counterattack. "Come on, attack me, you stinky bird," Xuanjian challenged. Spearow was indeed a well-known hot-tempered Pokémon, and it really fell into the trap. As a result, it was hit hard by Magikarp again. Being attacked 3 times in a row, although the damage was not high, it was definitely not pleasant. Spearow is not a fool, or any Pokémon that survives in a cruel natural environment is not a fool. They are either keen hunters or cunning prey. The attack failed, and the Spearow, which was hurt, immediately changed its attack method. It flapped its wings hard, and a series of sharp blades formed by air shot down from the air towards Magikarp lurking in the water. This is a flying skill, air cutting. Although Spearow's wingspan is small and the air blade it emits is not powerful, it is still a powerful skill for Magikarp. Although Magikarp dived into the water was too shallow, so the air blade easily cut through the water surface and hit Magikarp. Xuanjian was heartbroken. The air blade stopped quickly. After all, this skill still consumes a lot of physical strength, which is the PP value in the game. But Spearow found a way to attack and refused to attack close to him. Instead, it circled in the air and recovered its physical strength. Xuanjian tried to take Magikarp away, but every time he moved, Spearow would swoop down and attack, forcing Xuanjian to stop. After all, compared to Pidgeot, although Spearow has short wings and lacks the power of flying skills, and lacks endurance for long-distance flight, its general attacks are powerful due to its size, and its short-distance sprint is as fast as lightning. If Xuanjian were alone, he could run away, but Magikarp in the water would definitely die. Spearow soon rested enough and used air cutting again. Xuanjian wrapped Magikarp in his arms, turned his back to Spearow, and resisted the attack. The sharp air blade cut Xuanjian's clothes, leaving red scars on his back. A few drops of blood appeared, but were soon dispersed by the new wind blade. "Magikarp, we have no choice but to fight now. I will throw you to Spearow in a moment. You can attack it with the last skill you used to attack me just now, okay?" Xuanjian said while enduring the pain. Magikarp looked at Xuanjian dully as he took the Windblade's attack on its behalf. He felt very moved and wanted to evolve into Gyarados immediately to teach that stinky bird a lesson. But evolution is not something that can be achieved just by wanting it. Magikarp could only open and close its mouth to agree with Xuanjian's tactics. Spearow's attack soon stopped. It looked at the two creatures hugging each other with their backs to it in surprise. However, it suffered a few losses and did not rush to attack in close combat. Xuanjian did not move either. Spearow's flying speed is not slow, and it can easily avoid Magikarp's attack. This is reality, not a game, and there is no such thing as a 100% hit rate. Spearow used air cutting again. Xuanjian still maintained the original posture, allowing the wind blade to hit his back, which made him grin in pain. Magikarp also twisted uneasily in Xuanjian's arms. Be good, don't move around, save your energy. Spearow is very fast, and it is difficult to guarantee a hit. We have to wait for an opportunity. Only when the skill is about to end, when Spearow's mind is the least focused and it is difficult to move, is it a good time to attack. Listening to Xuanjian's comfort, Magikarp calmed down, and Xuanjian silently calculated the time. When the skill was about to end, Xuanjian turned around suddenly. Now, go, Magikarp, he said and smashed Magikarp into the Spearow in the air. Seeing Xuanjian's action, Spearow was startled, but quickly reacted. This Spearow has a talent for fighting. Realizing that it is too late to switch skills now and can't dodge, it tried its best to continue to send out wind blades, extending the skill time. The closer to Spearow, the denser the wind blades are. One wind blade after another hit Magikarp, and Magikarp's physical strength declined rapidly. Hold on, Magikarp. Xuanjian cheered silently in his heart. Suddenly, he seemed to have turned into Magikarp, and could clearly feel the remaining strength. Now, Xuanjian saw that Magikarp had reached the front of Spearow, and his strength had dropped to the bottom, relying on a breath to hold on, so he shouted out the order, Magikarp, struggle to death. Magikarp's eyes, which had been somewhat diffused, flashed a gleam of light, and with a flip, the tail whipped the Spearow hard. The most powerful part of Magikarp is undoubtedly the tail. Magikarp can jump so high with a water splash, all relying on the power of the tail. Under the effect of the skill, the powerful tail whipped the Spearow hard, and the powerful force immediately whipped the Spearow away, hitting the tree and fainting. Magikarp himself was also bounced back by the reaction force, and Xuanjian rushed over to catch it, shouting, "Well done, we won." Magikarp blinked happily, and then fainted. Xuanjian looked at the Magikarp that was fainted with wounds all over its body, and quickly picked it up and stumbled towards the village. Haha, for a loser, how could the first one to appear be the big three? But don't worry, you will be able to see the big three soon. Please vote, please vote. There will be more in the evening. Chapter 6 Get Charmander. Although there is no Pokemon Center, there are Pokemon doctors in the village who can treat injured Pokemon. Although most of the villagers have been sealed with the power of Evergreen, they still have some legacy, such as the incredibly effective potions they made. Xuanjian and Magikarp were not seriously injured and received good treatment, but they also need to recover for a while. Xuanjian went out well in the morning, but came home with injuries and clothes torn by wind blades. His parents didn't express anything special except heartache. Xuanjian also felt relieved. If his parents cried and made a fuss about his injuries, it would be a headache for him. After this battle, Xuanjian felt that his relationship with Magikarp had taken a step further. If intimacy can be detected, Xuanjian guessed that his intimacy with Magikarp must have risen rapidly. After this battle, Magikarp's confidence increased greatly. Every time he saw other Pokemon, he was eager to challenge them. This gave Xuanjian a headache. Could it be that the characteristic of this Magikarp to evolve into Gyarados in the future is overconfidence? Finally, Xuanjian said that he would let it fight to its heart's content after he obtained the qualification of a trainer. This appeased it. The application submitted to the Alliance was quickly approved. After paying the money, Xuanjian was notified to go to the Pokemon Center in Viridian City to pick up Charmander in a week. Xuanjian breathed a sigh of relief after receiving the notice. Although he knew that there would be basically no twists and turns in this matter, he was still afraid that there would be a mistake such as not having enough Pokemon. After all, there were much fewer Pokemon than trainers. Therefore, he went to Viridian City a day in advance and stayed directly at the Pokemon Center at night. The next morning, when the Pokemon Center just started working, Xuanjian couldn't wait to find Joy and wanted to pick up Charmander. Ms. Joy, I am a newly registered trainer, Xuanjian from Kyanmo Village. I am here to pick up my Pokemon and the initial Pokemon. Xuanjian said with great excitement. Joey, who was still yawning, looked at the boy in front of her. She was used to this kind of scene. She smiled and said, "You came so early. Young people are really energetic. I can give you the illustrated book now, but you have to wait for the initial Pokémon." Joey took out an illustrated book, bound Xuanjian's information to it, and handed it to Xuanjian. The illustrated book stores all the Pokémon information in the Kanto area, which is not very useful for Xuanjian who has passed the exam. Xuanjian is interested in the function of detecting Pokémon skills and level evaluation in the illustrated book, as well as the identity meaning represented by the illustrated book, a trainer recognized by the Alliance. With the illustrated book, Xuanjian can get free treatment at any Pokémon Center in the Kanto area, and can also participate in some competitions and activities held by the Alliance. When Xuanjian's trainer level is upgraded, he can also take on some tasks and so on. P.S. The trainer level in this book does not mean that you will get experience upgrades after winning the game, but the league will give a comprehensive score to the trainer based on the feedback information of the Pokémon book and the games and battles that the trainer participates in, and objectively evaluate the trainer's strength. The location bound to your Pokémon book is the Pokémon Center in Viridian City. The initial trainer cannot hold more than 6 Pokémon. If the number exceeds, it will be forcibly transferred to the Pokémon Center. The Pokémon Center will help take care of your Pokémon, but you need to pay a certain fee. If you find other storage points, you can go to any Pokémon Center to modify it. Gyms, research institutes and other officially recognized institutions can be used as pre-transmission receiving points. Okay, thank you Miss Joy. Xuanjian listened carefully. Although he already knew all this, it sounded completely different at this time. Joey also knew that most people knew these things, and repeating them was just a routine, so he didn't say anything more, and said to Xuanjian happily, "Okay, follow me to pick up your Pokémon." Joey led Xuanjian to a teleporter, turned on the video phone, pressed a number, and dialed it out. After waiting for a while, the call was connected. "Good morning, this is Charizard Valley, I'm GK, what can I do for you?" A sleepy green-haired girl appeared on the screen. "Good morning, this is the Pokémon Center in Viridian City. There is a trainer who needs to pick up a Charmander. Okay, please show me your qualification certificate." Joey stood aside and motioned Xuanjian to come forward. Xuanjian came to the phone and took out a letter with the Alliance logo and other various documents. "Hello, Miss GK. I am Xuanjian, a trainer from Kyanmo Village. This is my qualification certificate." The girl on the other end of the phone carefully checked the receipt, looked at Xuanjian for a while, and finally nodded. "Okay, it has been confirmed that you are eligible to get a Charmander." "Wait a minute." GK's figure disappeared from the screen for a while, and when he reappeared, there was an extra Pokeball in his hand. "This is your Charmander, I will teleport your Charmander right away. You have obtained the qualification to obtain it through the researcher examination. The Alliance recognizes your potential, so the Charmander you get is directly issued by Charizard Valley. Compared with the Charmanders cultivated in those cultivation rooms, the Charmanders we issue are stronger, and of course their personalities are more proud. Trainers need to spend more time to get their recognition. I hope you can treat it well. If there is any problem that cannot be solved, you can contact me directly." "Okay, thank you." Xuanjian said that he would definitely treat Charmander well. GK on the other end nodded, said nothing more, and then hung up the phone. A flash of lightning flashed, and a Pokeball appeared on the transmission platform. Xuanjian couldn't wait to open the Pokeball, and a strong little Charmander appeared in front of him. This little Charmander had orange-red skin and big eyes that were very bright. As soon as it appeared, it took a defensive posture and looked around. Xuanjian suppressed his excitement and tried his best to make his voice friendly. "Hello, little Charmander. I am Xuanjian, and I will be your trainer in the future. Please give me your guidance." After hearing the voice, the little Charmander glanced at Xuanjian and nodded proudly, which was considered to be an acknowledgement of Xuanjian. Xuanjian breathed a sigh of relief. Although the little Charmander was a little arrogant, it didn't do such a bad thing as using attack skills on the trainer. Then come back first. Xuanjian picked up the Pokeball and aimed at the little Charmander. The little Charmander did not resist and obediently entered the Pokeball. "Congratulations on becoming a trainer, but this little Charmander seems to have a bad temper. You have to work harder." Joey congratulated Xuanjian. As Joey, she has seen many little Charmanders as novice trainers. Those little Charmanders look cute and very cute. This also caused many trainers to forget how proud Charizard is, so that they were not able to adapt to it in the short term after the Pokémon evolved into Charizard. Compared with those docile Charmanders, this extremely proud Charmander must have taken a lot of effort in the early stage, but once it was recognized by it, everything would go smoothly. This is also a disguised test of the alliance. Xuanjian didn't know what Joey was thinking. He politely said to Joey, "I will work hard." "Thank you, Miss Joey. By the way, here are 5 empty Pokeballs. It's a small gift from the alliance to the new trainers." Joey took out 5 Pokeballs and handed them to Xuanjian. These were 5 ordinary standard Pokeballs. Although they were not as good as the Pokeballs with special effects, they were enough for most trainers. Xuanjian happily accepted the gift. If these Pokeballs were bought in the store, it would also be a considerable expense. After saying goodbye to Joey and leaving the Pokemon Center, walking on the busy streets, Xuanjian suddenly felt a sense of pride in his heart. He suddenly wanted to shout to the crowd like Xiaozi did, "I became a trainer, I got Charmander. I officially got Charmander, one of the 3 starter Pokémons. I always think that among the 3 starter Pokémons, the fire type is the most favored. No matter the appearance, please ignore ancient warm Pokémons, or the attributes, they are better than most wildfire Pokémons. In addition, I have to say, please vote." Chapter 7, Conquering Charmander. With a newly obtained illustrated book in Charmander, Xuanjian returned to Kyanmo village. Although he wanted to travel, it did not mean that he had to set off immediately. Especially at present, Charmander obviously had not recognized him, so it was not suitable for him to set off. Xuanjian planned to truly recover Charmander and train it, so that it would have a certain strength before setting off. After returning home and sharing the joy with his family, Xuanjian came to the small river outside the village. Magikarp, who had long known that Xuanjian would officially become a trainer today, had been waiting here for a long time. It seemed to be a little impatient and kept swimming on the water. "Sorry for the wait, Magikarp," Xuanjian called out, and at the same time took off an empty Pokeball from his waist. Seeing Xuanjian's actions, Magikarp couldn't wait to jump over and hit the Pokeball. The Pokeball immediately opened and put it in. The light flashed a few times and then dimmed. Magikarp was officially recovered. "Come out, Magikarp, Charmander." Xuanjian opened the Pokeball and released them. "Magikarp, Charmander, get to know each other, we are all partners in the future," Xuanjian introduced. Charmander is from Charizard Valley, and is extremely proud. As its trainer, Xuanjian can only barely look at it, and it doesn't take the weak Magikarp seriously at all. Magikarp wanted to say hello to Charmander, but he didn't expect Charmander to be so indifferent, and immediately felt despised. After the battle with Spearow, Magikarp's self-esteem and confidence are overflowing. How could he bear such anger? "Hey, I knew it would be like this." Xuanjian looked at the team that was about to fight internally, and felt a headache. "You two, at least give some face, we are all comrades in the future, how can this be done?" Xuanjian tried to solve all the problems, but it was useless. "What should I do?" Xuanjian thought that internal strife in a strong team is a very fatal thing, not to mention a rookie like himself. The problem this time was mainly caused by Charmander. Originally, he wanted to spend a long time with it to enhance mutual understanding and eventually get its recognition. Now it seems that this plan is not feasible, and some extraordinary measures must be taken. But this is also a good opportunity. Let's take this opportunity to tame Charmander. In addition, Magikarp must also be suppressed. Don't be too confident. Xuanjian thought about it and had an idea. He did it right away. Xuanjian said, "Okay, let's ignore the conflict between you. I heard that in some places, new friends have to fight first to get to know each other. How about we have a game? I will be the referee, and the dinner tonight will be the bet." Charmander and Magikarp were attracted and expressed their interest in this proposal. "Then the venue will be chosen on this river beach. There is water here, but it is not deep. Does Charmander have any objection?" For Magikarp, if it leaves the water, it can't even beat Caterpillar. Charmander shook his head. In its eyes, if it is not a little afraid of water, Magikarp, a scum like this, can be defeated anywhere. On the way home, Xuanjian had already checked what skills Charmander had learned through the illustrations. The Pokemon illustrations can be used to check the Pokemon in possession, allowing trainers to understand the skills their Pokemon have mastered. Of course, this is not a game after all. Although there are Pokemon levels, It is impossible to be refined to each level like in games. After all, each Pokémon has different characteristics. The current mainstream is to divide according to their energy intensity. For Pokémon of the same race, each evolutionary stage is roughly divided into primary, intermediate, and advanced. For all Pokémon, they are divided into larval, primary, intermediate, advanced, elite, king, champion, etc. The standards for measuring different Pokémon are also different. After all, some Pokémon contain stronger energy, such as fire Pokémon. And some Pokémon, although their energy is not strong, their superb skills make up for the shortcomings, such as Pokémon with technician characteristics. Generally speaking, the 3 starters obtained by novice trainers are generally Pokémon that are about to leave the larval stage. The Pokémon at this stage are relatively weak and highly dependent, which is conducive to cultivating feelings with a trainer. At the same time, this is also a buffer opportunity for trainers. Xuanjian's little Charmander is indeed a product of the Charizard Valley. It is still in its juvenile stage in terms of physical development, but it has just reached the primary standard in terms of energy level. In addition to the basic sparks and tickles, it has also learned Smoke Screen, Split, Crush, and Dragon's Rage. These are all very practical skills. This shows that this little Charmander is very talented and has received strict training. Okay, then I will stipulate that the scope of the venue is from the round stone in the east to the bushes in the west. You are not allowed to go deep into the water. Do you understand? Both Pokémon nodded to show that they understood. Well, ready, start. Charmander launched the attack first, opened its mouth, and scattered sparks at Magikarp. Magikarp turned and swam away. The water was too shallow, and the crown-shaped dorsal fin on its head was exposed above the water. Such a depth could not block the spark attack. Magikarp cleverly went around the rocks exposed above the water to avoid it. Seeing that the attack was avoided, Charmander changed its moves. A ball of blue light brewed in his mouth, and after reaching a critical point, it sprayed towards the rock. Dragon's Fury, a dragon skill, can be used by Charmander as a pseudo-dragon without dragon attributes. Unfortunately, although Dragon's Fury is powerful, it is not enough to break the solid rocks that have been washed by the river for many years. Magikarp also launched a counterattack at this time. It cleverly did not attack in close range, but used its tail to poke the water surface, and turned over to splash water at Charmander. Such an attack naturally could not cause any damage to Charmander, but it angered Charmander. Charmander temporarily forgot his fear of water, jumped onto the rock, and clawed at Magikarp. Although he did not use any skills this time, he also caused damage to Magikarp and knocked it back a distance. Then he opened his mouth and a spark sprayed out. For Charmander, fire skills are more convenient to use. The sparks fell on Magikarp and successfully caused damage to Magikarp. Although the attributes were weakened, Magikarp was not a Pokémon with high defense and high HP, and it still lost a lot of HP. Then, Magikarp also launched an attack. With natural intelligence and Xuanjian's training, Magikarp's combat wisdom is unmatched by Charmander. Although Magikarp took 2 attacks from Charmander, strategically, Charmander was tricked away from the land and into its attack range. Water Splash plus Impact. Magikarp launched a counterattack with sparks, and hit Charmander hard. Although Charmander did not suffer much damage, it lost its balance and almost fell off the stone. After its tail accidentally touched the water surface, it was so scared that it fell on the rock. Fire Pokémon have a higher body temperature, and water is a very scary thing for them. Seeing this situation, Magikarp pressed on step by step, swam behind Charmander, and kept attacking Charmander. Charmander tried to leave the rock and return to the land, but every time it tried to stand up, it would be knocked off its balance. After several attempts to leave the rock, Charmander seemed to give up and just kept waving his tail to try to stop Magikarp. This kind of attack without any accuracy naturally could not hit Magikarp, and Magikarp continued to attack Charmander with pride. Although the damage was small, it was a lot after all. Finally, Charmander seemed to be unable to bear it anymore and stood up suddenly, as if he wanted to leave the rock. Magikarp saw this and hit him hard again, trying to stop him. As a result, Charmander suddenly turned around and bit Magikarp. Magikarp was bitten, and it had basically no fighting power out of the water. The battle situation turned again, and Charmander had the upper hand. Charmander bit Magikarp tightly, and Magikarp's physical strength continued to decrease. When Magikarp's physical strength reached the bottom, It suddenly launched its last big move and struggled to death. The originally somewhat weak body struggled violently, broke free from Charmander, and then hit Charmander's head with its tail. Charmander, whose head was hit hard, immediately fainted, and Magikarp also ran out of physical strength and lost its fighting power. Magikarp and Charmander both lost their fighting power, a draw. Xuanjian fulfilled his refereeing duties, announced a battle, and then took back the two Pokémons and took them to treatment. After dinner, Xuanjian released the two again. A flash of light passed, and the two appeared in front of Xuanjian at the same time. Compared with Charmander, Magikarp was undoubtedly more seriously injured, but Xuanjian had applied medicine to them, and they would recover soon. Today's game is a draw. But Magikarp has the advantage of the field, so overall, Charmander is stronger than you two. In short, you both did very well. Charmander rubbed his head curtly, seeming a little embarrassed. However, for Charmander with a strong self-esteem, Xuanjian's praise was still very useful. Magikarp agreed, and it still had a certain understanding of its own strength. Then after saying hello, you can get to know each other again. This time, it was Charmander who took the initiative to say hello to Magikarp, and Magikarp was a little reluctant to respond, but eventually responded to Charmander. Then Magikarp, come back first. Xuanjian took Magikarp back and left Charmander outside. Charmander, Xuanjian squatted down and was at the same height as Charmander, so that they could look each other in the eye. I'm sorry to become your trainer without your consent and let you leave Charmander Valley. Charmander shook his head. It had known that it would leave Charmander Valley sooner or later, but it didn't know who would become its trainer. After all, through those elder Charmanders, it learned that although their clan was a precious Pokémon, it did not mean that it would definitely meet a suitable trainer and be loved by the trainer. Its current trainer looked pretty good and was more to its taste. It's great that you don't mind. Xuanjian smiled and continued, although I can't guarantee that I am the best trainer, I will try my best to be a good trainer. Charmander, I formally invite you to travel, evolve, and become stronger with me. One day when you return to Charmander Valley, surprise the other Charmanders. As he said that, Xuanjian stretched out his hand to Charmander and made an invitation. Charmander was moved by Xuanjian's description. He tilted his head and looked at Xuanjian, as if to confirm whether this person really had the ability to do everything he said. In the end, Charmander placed his claws on Xuanjian's hand. Great! Xuanjian hugged Charmander excitedly. Charmander was surprised at first, but soon felt that Xuanjian had no ill intentions, and seemed to be very comfortable being held, so he relaxed and leaned quietly in Xuanjian's arms. A 3,000-word chapter. Please vote, please vote. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Flashing Green Caterpillar. Although he had obtained Charmander's recognition, Xuanjian was not in a hurry to start his journey. One reason was that he only had two Pokémon in his hands. Magikarp had no fighting power when out of water. Even if he started traveling now, he could not defeat any gym for the time being. It was better to train Charmander at home. In addition, although the main purpose of becoming a trainee researcher at that time was to obtain Charmander, Xuanjian was very interested in becoming a scientist in both his previous life and this life. Just like the professors in his previous life needed research results to be promoted, the trainee researchers in this life also needed some impressive research to become regular employees. The abnormal increase in insect Pokémon in the Evergreen Forest was undoubtedly a very suitable topic for a novice researcher. When he had a certain reputation, he would be able to get the attention of the Alliance as long as he took out some of the secrets of Pokémon he had learned in his previous life. After making a decision, Xuanjian immediately packed up his things and began to investigate in the Evergreen Forest. The Evergreen Forest was rich in resources and nurtured a large number of Pokémon. Along the way, Xuanjian encountered Caterpillar, Unicorn, Pidgeot, Spearow and other Pokémon countless times, but he did not capture any of them except letting Charmander and Magikarp fight with him and get familiar with them. It costs money to raise Pokémon, and he can only have 6 Pokémon now. If he has more, Joey will take care of them. Obviously, each quota is very precious and it is impossible to give them to these ordinary Pokémon. Of course, these Pokémon are not very qualified. To be honest, Xuanjian still misses the Spearow he fought last time. As a wild Pokémon, the combat quality of that Spearow is still very good. Well, from the statistics of these days, the hatching rate of Caterpillar and Thorntail is centered on this mountain, and gradually decreases from near to far according to the distance. So is there something in this mountain that is affecting it? Xuanjian thought while looking at the hill not far away. The closer to the mountain, the higher the hatching rate, but there are many dead eggs in the area closest to the mountain, and the hatching rate is almost close to zero, and the Pokémon nearby are almost extinct, which means that there is something unusual in the mountain. This hill looks like just a humble little mound, but Xuanjian didn't dare to underestimate it. There are too many unknown things in this world. He is just an ordinary trainer without the aura of the protagonist. If he easily gets involved in these things, he might die soon. Something that can increase the hatching rate of insect eggs in a forest is not simple no matter how you look at it. It is better for him to report it to the League. Xuanjian is very self-aware. Even if there are earth-shattering treasures in this mountain, it is not something he can get his hands on. In this case, why waste his energy? The purpose of writing his research report is almost achieved. As for the final reason, he only needs to write a multi-party search without results. It is not easy for a newcomer to achieve this point. Everyone will understand. With this irresponsible idea, Xuanjian turned around and planned to leave. The moment he turned around, he suddenly saw a silver on the branches not far away. Flashing caterpillar. Xuanjian immediately judged what it was with his many years of experience dealing with caterpillars. Suddenly, he could no longer move. All kinds of shiny Pokémons are extremely valuable. Even if you don't use them, you can get a lot of rewards by handing them over to the Alliance. Xuanjian immediately changed his mind. Anyway, the green caterpillar is still a little distance from the hill, so it's okay if you are careful. Come out, Charmander. Xuanjian called Charmander. Charmander stretched lazily as soon as it came out. It has been active in the forest for the past 2 days. Because of the flame on its tail, Xuanjian didn't dare to release it casually, fearing that it would cause a fire. This made it feel suffocated. Charmander, don't use fire skills easily later. Otherwise, it will be a big disaster if this forest is set on fire. Charmander nodded. Then rush over and use split on that green caterpillar. Charmander immediately did as Xuanjian ordered. It has bullied many of these insects in the past few days. Although this one is of different color and much larger in size, it can't pose any threat to it. Charmander's attack successfully hit the silver-green caterpillar, and the green caterpillar was knocked away, but it seemed that due to its soft body, it didn't suffer much damage. Do it again. Xuanjian ordered. Charmander rushed over again. But this time the caterpillar fought back. The caterpillar raised its upper body, and a stream of silk thread spurted out of its mouth, shooting at Charmander. Charmander's offensive slowed down. However, Charmander, who had fought with a caterpillar many times, naturally knew the caterpillar's 3 tricks and knew how to deal with them. Moreover, the use of sparks was allowed in this situation. Without Xuanjian's order, Charmander opened his mouth and a small string of sparks spurted out. The silk threads were immediately burned when they met the sparks, and Charmander rushed towards the caterpillar again. But a strange thing happened. When Charmander was about to approach the caterpillar, it suddenly stopped, and then was wrapped into a ball by the silk thread spit out by the caterpillar again, and then was knocked back by the caterpillar. Charmander. Xuanjian didn't know why this happened suddenly. It seemed that the shining caterpillar had some special means. Seeing Charmander flying back, Xuanjian hurriedly ran over worriedly. Charmander was not injured, but being defeated by a bug greatly hurt its self-esteem. After Xuanjian helped it untie the shackles, he immediately wanted to settle the score with the green caterpillar, but the green caterpillar had already escaped. Don't worry, it can't run away. Xuanjian comforted Charmander. Now it's not just about conquering the green caterpillar. If Charmander can't let go of this breath, the favorability that has been hard to brush up in the past few days will drop again. And the performance of this green caterpillar also made Xuanjian want to conquer it even more. Let's go, let's look for it. It must not run far. Wild Pokémon have a strong sense of territory and will not run around easily. For Xuanjian, it is very simple to identify the scope of its territory, and its unique color makes it lose its protective color, so it is easy to find it. Sure enough, the green caterpillar was soon discovered. Although it tried its best to hide itself among the leaves, its unique color made it easy to be discovered. No wonder wild flash babies are precious. In addition to being unique, their strong combat power is also the reason. If they are not strong in combat, they would not have survived long ago. This unique green caterpillar has almost zero hiding ability. If it is not strong in combat, it will definitely not grow so big. Charmander, let's use Dragon's Fury this time. Charmander immediately aimed at the caterpillar, brewed a ball of blue energy in his mouth, and sprayed it out. The caterpillar also knew that it had been discovered, and immediately spit out silk to attack. But how could the weak silk thread stop Dragon's Fury? The silk thread was immediately broken by Dragon's Fury. After breaking through the silk thread, Dragon's Fury continued to move towards the caterpillar, but strangely stopped in front of the caterpillar, unable to move forward. Chapter 9, First Contact with Team Rocket. Is this telekinesis? Xuanjian saw this strange skill again and guessed immediately, isn't telekinesis a skill that only Butterfree can learn? This caterpillar actually learned it in advance, it's amazing. We can't lose either, come on, Charmander. Hearing Xuanjian's encouragement, Charmander also increased the power of Dragon's Fury, but the caterpillar's telekinesis also increased, and the two were in a stalemate. However, the caterpillar was always much weaker than Charmander, and eventually gradually lost. But this caterpillar was not simple either. It suddenly fell down from the tree, leaving Dragon's Fury empty. The empty Dragon's Fury crashed into the hill and smashed a rock into pieces. It can be seen that Charmander has made a good improvement through training during this period. Come again. Xuanjian looked at the caterpillar hanging in the air with a silk thread and ordered. Rushing over for close combat is not feasible. The restraint of superpowers on combat is that it can easily interrupt the coherent movements, not only making the moves fail, but also causing counter-injury. This time, the Dragon's Fury did not fail. The previous battle consumed too much of the caterpillar's physical strength. Although it tried to use telekinesis to resist again, it had little physical strength left and the moves it used were seriously insufficient. In the end, it took a solid Dragon's Fury. As expected, the caterpillar hit by the Dragon's Fury lost its combat effectiveness. Xuanjian threw out the Pokeball and easily subdued it. The caterpillar had telekinesis when it was a caterpillar, and it would be even more powerful when it evolved into Butterfree. This caterpillar is good for both its own use and for handing it over to the Alliance. Of course, it would be even better if a doctor who wanted to study it could be contacted. Not only could the caterpillar be kept, but it could also make a fortune. Facts have proved that the saying people die for money, birds die for food is applicable in that world. Xuanjian didn't know that his greedy behavior had caused him a lot of trouble. When he put away Charmander and turned to leave, a figure walked out from behind a tree on the hill. The shadow's footsteps were light, and Xuanjian didn't feel anything about the person behind him. The shadow ordered coldly, Arbok, attack with poison needles, and use anesthesia. Following this order, a purple snake covered with scary and strange patterns raised its head from the dead leaves and grass, and sprayed a poison needle at Xuanjian. Xuanjian, who was hit by the poison needle, fainted immediately. When Xuanjian woke up, he found himself lying in a house. Looking at the unfamiliar ceiling, he knew that he had not traveled through time, because there was a big red R written on the ceiling. The patterns on the surrounding rooms were also small red R letters. It seems that the Rocket Team is the only one in the entire Kanto region that uses such a letter as a logo. Recalling the nature of this organization, Xuanjian guessed that they were conducting shameful experiments in the forest, and he accidentally broke into it, so he fell into their hands. Thinking of this, Xuanjian was a little relieved. If the difference is not much from the animation, then he should not be in much danger. Although the Rocket Team is an illegal organization, they are determined to replace the Alliance. Compared with the villains in other regions, they are still more moral. Moreover, judging from the memories of the previous life and the situation I know in this life, the evil organizations in this world are relatively simple. Except for irreconcilable enemies, they rarely kill humans. Compared with the terrorist organizations in the previous life, they are as kind as little white rabbits. I touched my waist and found that the Pokeball was gone. As expected, people who leave tools for resistance to captives are definitely idiots. The ones I met were of normal or even extraordinary intelligence. If they want me to join them later, I will give in. Although this organization has no future, it is at least one of the most powerful villain forces in the Kanto region. My life is important. Xuanjian thought shamelessly, but they like to use Pokémon for experiments. I wonder if my Pokémon is safe. Just as Xuanjian was thinking about it, the door of the room opened and a man in a Team Rocket uniform walked in. Are you awake? Then follow me. Lord Xiaobo wants to see you. As a man who knows the times, Xuanjian did not resist at all and followed the other party to hall obediently. Two people were already waiting in the hall. One was a Rockets cadre wearing a Rockets uniform and looking a little gloomy. The other was a bald old man wearing a white coat and a long beard. Although he was a little older, he still looked very energetic. Master Bixius, Master Xiaobo, the people are here. The Rockets team member who led the way said. The Rockets cadre called Bixius waved his hand and asked him to leave. Little guy, what's your name? Xiaobo asked. Hello, sir, my name is Xuanjian. Xuanjian said respectfully. He was now a fish on the chopping board, with no ability to resist. Why didn't he do this kind of goodwill that would not cause any loss to him but could reduce the possibility of being hurt? He was not really a teenager. Tisk tisk, I thought he would be a thorn. I didn't expect him to be so tactful. It seems that the brainwashing policy of the Alliance is not so successful. Or are you too cowardly? Bixius saw Xuanjian's performance and said, not knowing whether it was sarcasm or something. Xuanjian was indifferent. For such insignificant words, he didn't need to pay attention to them. Boy, let me ask you, what do you want to do by snooping into our secret base? Bixius asked when he did not receive the expected counterattack. My lord, I think you misunderstood. I did not snoop into your base. My father is a forest ranger, and I just helped him with routine patrols. Haha, you can't even lie. How could the son of a forest ranger be qualified to get the Pokémon Encyclopedia and Charmander from the Alliance? Bixius did not believe Xuanjian's words at all. Although forest rangers are also jobs recognized by the Alliance, they are almost the lowest level. How could the son of a forest ranger have these? You know, many descendants of nobles do not have this qualification. This is true. I passed the Alliance's exam, so I was able to get the Encyclopedia and Charmander at a very low price. But even though it was a very low price, it almost bankrupted me. You passed the Alliance exam? Bixius questioned. I believe it. Xiaobo on the side suddenly said, Bixius, you won't understand. There is a kind of people in the world called geniuses. Just like me, no adversity can cover up their brilliance. Humph. An old man abandoned by the Alliance dares to call himself a genius. Bixius sneered. He said that he didn't understand. Was he mocking his own low intelligence? What do you know? How could those idiots in the Alliance understand my greatness and not believe in my research? Just watch, I must surprise them and slap them in the face. I hope you can succeed. Looking at the crazy old man, Bixius didn't dare to continue teasing him. After all, the other party was a scientist favored by Bwasakuki. Of course it can succeed. We are researching. Ahem, Bixius coughed and interrupted Xiaobo's words, stopping him from continuing. Xiaobo also reacted and pouted, okay, kid, this is confidential. Unless you join us, I can't tell you. Everyone should be able to guess what the Rockets are researching, right? Chapter 10 Talent. Xuanjian smiled but did not answer. It is one thing to have a good impression of Team Rocket, and it is another to join them. There is no necessary connection between the two. Xiaobo did not mind Xuanjian's performance. The topic shifted to other places. Xuanjian, right. Xiaobo took out a notebook from his white coat. Xuanjian recognized that this was the notebook he usually used to record data. Did you make this yourself? Thinking back, there did not seem to be anything earth-shattering in the notebook, just some observation data. Xuanjian breathed a sigh of relief. Well, yes, I found that the hatching rate of insect Pokémon in Evergreen Forest this year is abnormal. I happened to pass the league exam and became a trainee researcher, so I wanted to write a paper based on this. I didn't expect to offend you. I'm very sorry. It doesn't matter, Xiaobo waved his hand. I read your observation records. You have very good scientific literacy and research awareness. This is what an excellent scientist should have. You are too kind. Xuanjian was a little embarrassed. For himself, who spent every day in the laboratory in his previous life, making records was just an almost instinctive behavior. Moreover, his research consciousness was not as sharp as the other party imagined, but it was a little conspicuous in this world with backward education. He was far from a genius. You, Xiaobo was talking, and suddenly the lights flashed, and then a force came out from nowhere. A huge sense of oppression hit everyone's heart. Xuanjian suddenly felt as if he had turned into stone, unable to make any movements, and even unable to breathe. Under such oppression, Xuanjian felt uncomfortable and was about to die. Suddenly, a warm force surged in his chest. Although it did not completely resist this force, it made him feel better. Finally, this force disappeared again. Xuanjian fell to the ground and gasped for breath. Xiaobo opposite was not much better. Only Bixius could still stand, but he could also see that his face was a little pale. What's going on? Bixius took out something that looked like a walkie-talkie, pressed a few keys, and yelled into it. Sir? A trembling voice came from the intercom. Just now there was a problem in the circuit, and the machine that suppressed the thing stopped running, alarming the person who took the thing. Idiot, do you want to kill us? How come there is such a problem again? Go and repair it quickly. If there is such a problem again, you will all die. Yes, sir. But the power of that thing just now made the mechanic faint. Idiot, do you still need me to teach you what to do? No matter what method you use, wake him up immediately. Do you want to kill everyone? Yes, sir, I will go immediately. Xuanjian looked at the furious Bixius, recalling the experience just now, combined with the memory of the previous life. There was no idea what trouble he had gotten into. The attack he just suffered must be a superpower, so what Team Rocket is doing must be creating Mewtwo. Only Mewtwo can use such a powerful superpower skill, and just a little leakage can have such a great power. And the abnormal hatching of insects that he investigated has also been explained. Insects have the ability to restrain superpowers, and insect eggs are very susceptible to external influences, so insect eggs can absorb weak superpowers as hatching energy, which greatly increases the hatching rate. Of course, this absorption is also limited. If the superpower is too strong, it will kill the insect eggs. Therefore, there are almost no Pokémon near the hill, and the insect eggs are basically not hatched. Even the shiny green caterpillar that I captured was affected by Mewtwo. Xiaobo, I agree with you now. This kid is a smart man. It seems that he has discovered something. Bixius looked at Xuanjian's pensive look and said sinisterly. Don't worry, sir, I promise not to leak it. So you really discovered something? Tell me. Xuanjian didn't expect the other party to be so cunning. He looked at Xiaobo for help, but Xiaobo also had an expression that said I am very optimistic about you, as if encouraging Xuanjian to speak out. There was no other way. Xuanjian could only bite the bullet and say, I caught a caterpillar that can use telekinesis before. The eggs of insect-type Pokémon like caterpillar are congenitally deficient and will absorb external energy during hatching. The caterpillar itself has no genetics that prevent it from using telekinesis in the larval stage, so it was affected by superpowers during the hatching stage. Combined with the superpower attack it just suffered and the words of Lord Bixius, I guess there must be a Pokémon with powerful superpower attributes. This Pokémon is so powerful that if it leaks a little energy, the hatching of insect-type Pokémon in the entire Evergreen Forest will be affected. Pa pa pa, Bixius applauded, excellent speculation. Boy, I'm beginning to like you. How about joining Team Rocket? Thank you for your kindness, sir, but I want to be a researcher. My foundation is not solid enough now, and I want to travel around and improve myself. So you don't agree? No, sir, I just want to continue studying. Joining Team Rocket now won't help me much, right? Xuanjian looked at Bixius' increasingly gloomy face and tried to continue to refuse, while preparing to agree immediately if something went wrong. As Xuanjian refused, the atmosphere immediately became a little solemn. Bixius stared at Xuanjian coldly, and his whole body aura pressed towards Xuanjian, making Xuanjian feel suffocated. Xuanjian wanted to agree several times, but reason told him that it was not the last moment yet. At the critical moment, it was Xiaobo who spoke up. Bixius, let him go. He can't help much now. The Rockets are not short of manpower. Instead of letting him join the Rockets now and burying his talent, let him grow freely outside, and wait until he becomes a towering tree, and then harvest the fruits. Bixius frowned. Indeed, the Rockets have less resources than the League, and they are just mice living in the shadows, which is not conducive to talent training. But if you let this kid go, you may not be able to recruit him in the future. Although this kid doesn't seem to be brainwashed by the League now, no one knows whether he will be in the future. Bixius, I know what you are hesitating about. Don't worry, this kid and I are the same kind of people. The Alliance's suppression of people like us will sooner or later make him fall into our arms. Okay. Bixius seemed convinced, but we have to add an insurance to ensure that this kid will not be discovered by the Alliance. Seeing that Xiaobo did not object, Bixius took out a communicator and 3 Pokeballs from his arms and threw them to Xuanjian, saying, "Boy, you are lucky to get Xiaobo's favor. But I'm not so easy to talk to. That is the Rocket Team's communicator and your Pokemon. Don't think about reporting it secretly to the Alliance. Not to mention whether the Alliance will believe you, even if it believes it, we have a way. I believe you are a smart person and know how to choose." "Yes, sir, I will keep it a secret." Xuanjian hurriedly took out the Pokeball and communicator and assured the other party, "I will confiscate this thing that will reveal our secrets." Xiaobo picked up Xuanjian's notebook. "You should not submit papers on this topic anymore. Of course, I will give you some benefits as compensation. Let me tell you the update time, 8 a.m., 2 p.m., and 9 p.m. If there is anything else, I will notify you separately." Chapter 11, Zubat. Xiaobo turned to Bixius and said, "As compensation, give him one of the Pokemon we cultivated." "Okay, but he has to capture it himself. If he performs well, there will be other rewards," Bixius said generously. For such a young man with potential, he didn't mind giving more benefits to show his goodwill. "By the way, your Pokemon, we took care of you when you were unconscious. Don't worry, it was just simple treatment and feeding. The green caterpillar evolved into Metapod when you were feeding. The other 2 have a good relationship with you, and they refused to eat the food we gave them." Xuanjian opened the Pokeball and saw a stupid Metapod. Magikarp and Charmander immediately surrounded it. "Don't worry, I'm fine." Xuanjian comforted, and at the same time asked for some food to eat with him. He was also hungry. Dividing line. The base of Team Rocket is located underground, and the small hill above is just a cover. The underground base is connected in all directions. After the Pokémons had got dressed, Xuanjian was taken to rail car, and drilled in the underground track to another base. This is our training department, training some Pokémon for the team members to use. The person leading the way was an ordinary team member. A big man like Bixius naturally had to stay in the base, so he sent a soldier to lead the way. Xuanjian came to the training room and looked at the introduction at the door. There were many Pokémon inside, directly covering most of the varieties that can be found in the Kanto region. Moreover, these Pokémon that can be favored by the Rocket Team are naturally not ordinary, and all of them are of outstanding quality. His eyes reluctantly moved away from the room marked with Alakazam and Squirtle. Xuanjian knew that his current strength could not handle these Pokémon at all. After choosing left and right, Xuanjian finally chose a room. "This one." Xuanjian pointed to the room with a sign of Zubat and said, "This is not a precious Pokémon." The Rocket Team members couldn't help but say, Zubat is a Pokémon that many people use in the Rocket Team because its detection ability is really strong. In his opinion, if he had such a precious opportunity to capture one of the Pokémon cultivated by Team Rocket, he would definitely choose some precious and powerful ones. "This one is more suitable for me." Xuanjian did not give too much explanation. Among these Pokémon, there are extremely precious Psychic-type Alakazam and Squirtle, one of the 3 starter Pokémons, but he did not want to choose any of them. Because first of all, he could not defeat them. After capturing them, they might not be obedient. Moreover, from the collection time and some information posted on the door, it can be seen that these Pokémon were not obtained through normal means. Not only will it bring a series of troubles in the future, but these Pokémon that have been in prison for a long time must have problems with their mental state, and their potential will also be damaged. The Zubat that he chose is the descendant of the Rocket Team Cotter's Crosspit, and it also has a rare penetrating characteristic, which is more suitable for him than others. Seeing Xuanjian's refusal, the Rocket Team cadre stopped persuading him, opened the door of Zubat's room, let Xuanjian in, and then locked the door. There is a different world in the room, which is decorated like a forest. There is an electronic clock on the wall, showing the time, daytime, 2 hours and 40 minutes left, light intensity, afternoon. It can be seen that the breeder is very attentive. He did not turn the room into darkness because Zubat likes dark environments. Instead, he considered that Zubat might be active during the day in the future, so he specially set up a light gradient environment. Zubat was sleeping during the day as expected, and woke up immediately when he felt a movement. Seeing that it was a person coming in, not food, Zubat was a little dissatisfied. It had just taken a nap and was hungry, but it didn't expect that it was a person who came in. Its wisdom told it that although this creature also has warm blood in its body, it cannot prey on this creature. Come out, Charmander. Xuanjian called Charmander. Squeak. Zubat was overjoyed when he saw a Pokémon suddenly appear in front of him. Through perception, it felt the hot blood under the opponent's skin, which must be delicious. Zubat, let's have a fight. If you lose, follow me, there are more delicious food for you to enjoy outside. Xuanjian said. It was unknown whether Zubat understood Xuanjian's words or not, but it launched an attack. Looking at Zubat that turned into a black shadow and pounced on him, Xuanjian shook his head. Zubat was a Pokémon, and neither its attack nor its defense was outstanding. Only its speed and skills were remarkable. This Zubat was obviously still very immature and could not make full use of its advantages to fight. Sparks. Xuanjian ordered. Perhaps compared with other fire skills, the attack power of Sparks was insufficient, but if used flexibly, it could be regarded as a limiting skill. Charmander opened its mouth and spurted out dense sparks, meeting the swooping Zubat. When it hit the sparks head-on, Zubat immediately burst into a series of flames, and screamed from the burns, and never dared to attack head-on again. Don't let it use the skill that adds status. Follow up with Dragon's Fury. Looking at Zubat flying out of the range of the sparks, Xuanjian ordered. Charmander immediately changed its skills, and a ball of energy spurted out of its mouth, hitting Zubat who couldn't dodge in time. Dragon-type skills are very useful except for Steel and Fairy-type skills. Zubat, which has both poison and flying skills, is no exception and was immediately knocked down. Go up and split it. Looking at the falling Zubat, Xuanjian ordered. Charmander rushed to the bottom of the falling Zubat, raised his claws, and drew cold light in the air. Almost done, go, Pokeball. Xuanjian looked at Zubat, who was almost losing his combat power, and threw the Pokeball. After all, it was his own Pokémon, so there was no need to beat it to death. Before becoming a trainer, Xuanjian spent a lot of time training how to throw the Pokeball in a cool and accurate way. Of course, it was impossible for such a weird incident to happen that it was thrown off. The Pokeball landed accurately on Zubat's body and put it inside. The red light flashed for a while, and it was obvious that Zubat was still trying to resist, but it was running out of energy, so the resistance naturally failed and was successfully put into the ball. Recovered. Although there is still a long way to go to fully cultivate it into a mature combat force, it will not be too difficult to take the first step. Well done, Charmander. Xuanjian did not forget to praise Charmander. It is good to praise subordinates who do a good job, whether they are people or Pokémon. Woo woo. Charmander called twice. After a period of getting along, Xuanjian probably understood what Charmander meant. Are you saying that Zubat is too weak? Charmander nodded. That guy looked scary, but he was a weakling. He didn't put up any decent resistance. He was even weaker than Magikarp and Caterpillar. Xuanjian smiled. Magikarp was carefully cultivated by himself, and Caterpillar was gifted. How could Zubat be comparable? Looking at the skills that Zubat learned from the illustrated book, such as Absorption, Ultrasonic Wave, Poisonous Fang, High Speed Star, Black Gaze, Venom Shock, Black Fog, Blood Sucking, Air Blade, etc., he sighed that he did not make a wrong choice. Although this Zubat was a little immature, it had great talent. Period. This little guy hasn't experienced many battles, so he looks a little weak, but he actually has great talent. I will train him, and he will be much stronger next time. You have to work hard and don't let him surpass you. Xuanjian touched Charmander's head affectionately and said to him. Charmander patted his chest, indicating that he would definitely not. On the other side, Xiaobo and Bixius watched Xuanjian's every move from a distance. What do you think? I said this little guy is a smart guy. He really chose that Zubat, so you don't have to worry about Zubat being entrusted to the wrong person. Xiaobo said to Bixius. That Zubat is the offspring of Bixius's bat, so he can enjoy such good treatment in the breeding center. This is also a test for Xuanjian. For Pokemon like Zubat, they are often the favorites of various dark organizations. In addition to its attributes and appearance, and its final evolution, Zubat requires a lot of effort, and is often not liked by trainers. The Pokemon in the breeding center, although rare and precious, have already exhausted their potential due to improper acquisition methods and long-term imprisonment in various experiments. For Team Rocket, their greatest use is to breed the next generation. He passed the test this time. Bixius took out the communicator, Take that kid to the collection room and give him the first prize. It will be a waste if you don't vote for the recommendation. Dear readers, please give it to me. Chapter 12, Solving the Trouble. It has been 2 days since I returned home. If it weren't for the Pokeball with Zubat on his waist, Xuanjian would have thought it was a dream. After discovering Team Rocket's secret, he not only successfully escaped from Team Rocket, but also got a lot of benefits. Could it be that he also has the aura of a protagonist? Xuanjian shook his head, drove this unreliable idea out of his mind, and analyzed it carefully. From the original work, Team Rocket is indeed not simple. Although they are a villain organization, they almost violated the alliance. Many gym leaders actually betrayed the alliance and threw themselves into their arms. The reason is that they are not like the courage of a villain organization. If we use the organizations in the previous life to describe them, compared with those terrorist organizations with extreme beliefs, they are more like those warlords, acting in an orderly and courageous manner. If they hadn't poked a big mess of Mewtwo, the outcome between them and the alliance would still be unknown. Moreover, after the annihilation of Guandu, they were still able to survive tenaciously, which is completely incomparable to other villain organizations. In this way, it is understandable to let me go. Just as Xiaobo said, if he is not reused by the League in the end, he may throw himself into their arms for his ideals. It's a pity that you will not see that day. Xiaomeng is estimated to have been created, and the rocket's destruction has entered the countdown. Xiaobo, another person who played a key role in his escape, is obviously more interesting. Xuanjian smelled the same kind of smell in him. He joined the rockets purely for research, so it is not incomprehensible that he will switch to the League in the future. For this kind of scientist, as long as he proves his value, any organization will compete to win him over. So it is said that scholars are always unfaithful. For these highly intelligent people, the intrigues and deceptions in the world cannot escape their eyes, but they are too lazy to see so clearly. For them, they are the center of the world, and seeking benefits and avoiding harm is instinctive. Whether in the previous life or this life, scientific research is not something that can be done by one person, but to discover the inevitable from a large number of coincidences. Such luck and sufficient possibilities are the key to determining the height of scientific research. Although luck is more important, it is completely uncontrollable, so increasing the possible choices is the inevitable choice. So Professor Oak would select potential trainers to collect information for him. And Xiaobo obviously saw his talent and wanted to recruit him, so he helped him get out of trouble. After coming to the conclusion, Xuanjian breathed a sigh of relief and drove these speculations out of his mind. These were not important. What was important was to improve his strength and make himself more valuable. Then Xuanjian found out another gain from this trip. After he captured Zubat, the rocket team told him that he had won the first prize and took him to the collection room. In the end, he chose 3 skill learning machines, Guard, Repay, and Shadow Clone. Each can be learned by Pokemon 3 times. They are all good skills. After using them, the team's strength will definitely increase greatly. Xuanjian said with satisfaction. He got up and went out, intending to train Pokemon. As soon as he walked to the door, he met his mother Miyako. Looking at his mother's worried eyes, Xuanjian said helplessly, "Just go to the open space outside the village to train the elves." This time it took 3 days from leaving home to returning home, and the powerful anesthetic needle of the big Zarbo monster contributed a whole day. After returning home, Xuanjian made up a reason to get lost to perfunctorily deal with his family. Xuanjian, who followed his father into the forest since he was 8 years old, would get lost. He himself did not believe this reason, but Xuanjian could not tell them the real reason, so he could only make excuses. His parents did not say anything in the end, but whenever he was about to go out, his mother was full of worries. As soon as he walked to the door, Xuanjian saw his father Sanjin coming back, but he looked unhappy. "What's wrong, Dad?" Xuanjian asked. "I don't know why, but the application for the insect catching competition was rejected by the Alliance on the grounds that the conditions were not met." The conditions were not met. Well, it was said that the number of insect Pokemon in the Evergreen Forest was too single, and it did not meet the conditions for holding the event. This reason is really sufficient. Although the Evergreen Forest almost includes all the insect Pokemon that can be found in the Kanto district, there are not many insect Pokemon in the entire Kanto district. And foreign Pokemon cannot be introduced at will. This reason is really sufficient. The Alliance should know that our main purpose is to maintain the ecological balance of the Evergreen Forest. How can it be rejected with such a reason? Xuanjian said angrily. Xuanjian guessed a little. It was probably Team Rocket's undercover agents who did something bad. After all, if a bug-catching competition was held, many trainers would come, and their secrets might be discovered accidentally. Forget it, let's think of other ways. Xuanjian comforted. After leaving home, Xuanjian saw that the people in the village were all frowning. Obviously, everyone knew that the league refused to hold a bug-catching competition. There were not many trainers in the village. Although the green caterpillars and horned beetles were all weak, it was not easy for ordinary people to capture them, and what to do with them after they were captured was also a problem. Killing them directly would violate the rules of the league. We have to find a way to solve this problem, otherwise the village will be affected. These insects will not only eat a large number of plants, affecting this year's harvest, but also lay a large number of insect eggs after they mature, repeatedly destroying the forest. By the way, hornet beetle and caterpillar are not very useful, but if they evolve into Beedrill and Butterfree, it will be different. Even if they don't have the potential to be a combat Pokémon, they can be used to pollinate plants and make honey. I wonder if anyone needs it. Thinking of this, Xuanjian immediately found his father and told him about this idea. Although he didn't have hope for this idea, it was at least a solution, so Xuanjian immediately went to the old village chief's house. After hearing this idea, the old village chief also said that it was better than having no solution. The village chief's house has a computer allocated by the Alliance, through which tasks can be issued and queried. The village chief sent the task, and unexpectedly received a reply so quickly. Hello, I'm Nana from the 7 Fruit Islands of the Orange Alliance. Can you provide a large number of caterpillars and horned beetles? Yes, we are from Cyanmo village of the Kanto Alliance. We have been protecting the evergreen forest for generations. The number of insect Pokémon here has suddenly increased this year, posing a threat to the forest, so we want to see if there is a need for them and bring them to a suitable place to live. It just so happens. We were hit by a storm here last year, and many Butterfree and Beedrills died. This will have a great impact on the pollination of grapefruit, and we are worried about it. If you can help catch some insects for us, we will be very grateful. Glad to help you. This also solves our difficulties. Then there was all kinds of bargaining, and finally an agreement that both parties were satisfied with was reached. Great, now our problem is solved and we have an extra income. The village chief breathed a sigh of relief. It was obvious that this problem had troubled him for a long time. Thanks to Xuanjian, he is worthy of being a trainee researcher at such a young age. Xuanjian, you have a good son. Village chief, you are too kind. The problem was solved and the atmosphere in the village became lively again. Just when Xuanjian was about to roll up his sleeves and do a big job, Xuanjian stopped him. Don't you need my help to catch insects? Xuanjian asked curiously. No, that's too inefficient. We have a better way. You can help the village chief calculate how many green caterpillars to catch. Xuanjian looked at his mysterious father and was a little confused. He had to go to the village chief for help. That night, Xuanjian was woken up by his father in the middle of the night and brought to the village entrance. What are you doing so late at night? Xuanjian, who came to the village entrance, looked at the people gathered at the village entrance and found that they were all forest rangers, all with expressions of doing something big. Catching insects. His father replied briefly. Catching insects? I don't remember that they prefer to move at night. There are fewer people at night, and it's quiet. Okay, don't ask. You'll know in a while. Follow carefully. If you haven't made great contributions, you are not qualified to come. It turned out to be another big secret that ordinary people can't touch. After a while, the staggering old village chief came. Xuanjian, are all the people here? It's time. All the forest rangers are here. Xuanjian replied respectfully. Then let's start. The old village chief said. He raised his hand, and there was a golden bell in his hand. Xuanjian knew that it was a famous prop, the peace bell. In the original game, it is a magic weapon to increase intimacy, and in reality it can also play a role in soothing Pokémon. Cough cough cough, the old village chief suddenly coughed. In his impression, this old man has always been in good health. Mr. Village chief. Everyone said with concern. The old village chief's popularity in the village is unmatched. It's okay. I'm old. It's time for the young people to take over the burden. The old village chief paused, looked around at everyone, and said, Today's affairs, Xuanjian, you will be in charge. Xuanjian, come and support me. Xuanjian came to the old village chief as he said. Although the old village chief wanted to support him himself, Xuanjian could feel that the old man was still very strong and not as old as he appeared. Good boy, watch carefully. I feel that the seed in your body has cracked and is about to sprout. Cracked? Xuanjian remembered the power that surged out of his body when he was attacked by Mewtwo. Xuanjian took the peace bell from the old village chief. This bell has been passed down for a long time and has long been a sacred object of the village. Taking it means taking over the responsibility of protecting the village chief and the forest. Xuanjian shook the peace bell. Xuanjian recognized the song. When he was a baby, he fell asleep with this song. The others also took out their peace bells and began to shake them to the rhythm. As the peace bell rang, a little bit of green light emerged from everyone's body, and combined with the sound waves, it turned into circles of green ripples that swayed towards the Xuanjian forest. The green caterpillars and hornworms that had been sleeping in the forest woke up one after another, and moved closer to the village as if they were hypnotized, and lined up at the entrance of the village like an army waiting for inspection. They were captured by the Pokémon balls thrown by the forest rangers without any resistance. Village chief, since there is such a method, why didn't you use it earlier? Child, only with good intentions can the summoning of the peace bell work. We didn't find a good way to deal with them before, and we couldn't play such a bell sound. Soon, the captured insects reached the standard of the plan, and the insects returned to their respective positions in the forest under the control of the bell sound, as if everything was just a dream. When everyone saw the insects returning, they also stopped the bell sound. At this time, a group of green light points gathered from all directions and sank into everyone's body. As the light points entered the body, Xuanjian felt that the seeds in his body had sprouted. This is the gift of the forest. It can see everything you do. Listening to the words of the old village chief, Xuanjian deeply realized the wonder of this world and once again strengthened his determination to pursue these mysteries. How can I not vote for a chapter of 3,000 words? Chapter 13, Cerulean Gym. The dust settled on the insect explosion, and Xuanjian decided to embark on the journey. Rejecting his mother's proposal to set off after his father's succession ceremony to the village chief, Xuanjian packed his bag and began to travel. Thanks to the high development of space technology in this world, space backpacks, which are essential artifacts for home travel, are very common, which also relieves travelers from the pain of carrying heavy loads. Come out, Charmander, Zubat. Xuanjian summoned 2 Pokémon. From today we will officially start the journey. Let's walk together for exercise. Letting Pokémon out for activities can not only exercise, but also cultivate intimacy. Although the food expenses will undoubtedly be a little higher, it is insignificant compared to the effect. Charmander is very supportive of this proposal, and Zubat doesn't like to be active during the day after all, but he didn't refuse in the end. Xuanjian also took this into consideration, and increased the intensity of its training and reduced the training time. Zubat, my requirement for you is to practice short-distance accelerated flight, explosive power training, and rest when you are exhausted. Then Xuanjian turned to Charmander. Charmander, as a fire-type Pokémon, your explosive power is undeniable, but endurance is a problem. You must learn to control your power accurately and not waste it. Then your training item is jogging. Do you understand? Both Pokémon said they understood. Okay, let's get started. Xuanjian took the 2 Pokémon and started jogging. When Xuanjian set out on his journey, a conversation was going on in the Viridian Gym. Has the Viridian Forest issue been resolved? The Rocket Team's boss, Sakaki, was sitting at the head, listening to his subordinates' reports. Yes, I don't know what method those forest rangers used, but they captured a large number of green caterpillars in one night and sent them to the 7 fruit islands. They need some insects to pollinate the grapefruit trees there. A Rocket Team cadre reported. Well, since it's resolved, don't pay too much attention to it. Let the League think it's just an ordinary hatching rate abnormality. Sakaki touched the head of the cat boss lying next to him, and the cat boss immediately showed a look of enjoyment. I heard that Bixius found a good seedling. Yes, he is a new trainer, and he is said to be very talented. He is also related to the resolution of this incident. Well, you can cultivate him. Don't rush to recruit him. You should be magnanimous in doing things. Yes, Lord Sakaki. Well, you can go down. The Rocket Team bowed and left. Sakaki was left alone in the room. If you observe carefully, you will find a trace of green light, which follows Sakuki's hand into the body of the cat boss. Dividing line. On the other side, Xuanjian also arrived at his first destination, Cerulean City. As a transportation hub city with roads connecting all sides, Cerulean City is extremely prosperous. However, for Xuanjian, what deserves his attention most is the weakest gym in the Kanto district, Cerulean Gym. The former Cerulean Gym was a famous water gym in Kanto, and the owner was the Kanto Water King. However, it was the extraordinary talent of the gym owner that supported the Cerulean Gym, not the blood inheritance like Yulong, Fukazi, and Shaok, so the father was a tiger and the daughter was a dog. After the previous gym owner died on a mission, the Cerulean Gym's momentum plummeted. Of course, since the Cerulean Gym was independently funded and established by the previous gym owner, out of consideration for the pension of his orphans and the fact that Kanto also needed some weak gyms to give novice trainers a chance, the Cerulean Gym was retained, but its reputation as a weak chicken also spread throughout the Kanto region. Xuanjian thought about the Pokémon he currently had in his hands and found that he did not have attribute restraint on any gym. Although the Cerulean Gym was a water gym that restrained Charmander, its strength was not strong and it was very suitable as a first-time gym. Okay, everyone has worked hard. Go to the energy center tonight and have a good rest. Tomorrow we will challenge the first gym. Xuanjian said to the Charmander and Zubat who were training hard beside him. Charmander was holding a large stone in his hand, and Zubat also had weights on his wings. It has to be said that the potential of Pokémon is really huge. After just one day, they have already adapted to the original strength. Xuanjian had to add weight to them. After taking back the Pokémon, he came to the Pokémon Center and asked Joey to give all the Pokémon a comprehensive physical examination. After calling home, Xuanjian collapsed on the bed. In the past few days of travel, he was more tired than the elves. Not only did he have to hurry, but he also had to think about how to train the elves. At night, he had to use the little power of Changpin in his body to cooperate with a peace bell to give the elves recovery treatment. It is precisely with the assistance of Changpin's power that the elves can go all out to train and improve so quickly. After a good night's sleep, both humans and elves have recovered to their best condition. Xuanjian brought the Pokémon to the Hulan Gym. Since Xuanjian came early, he successfully became the first trainer to challenge the gym. After all, under the name of Weak Chicken, trainers who are interested in participating in the Quartz Conference will not let go of this badge, so compared with a death gym that is deserted like the Changpin Gym, the Hulan Gym can be said to be full of guests. Little brother, is this your first time challenging a gym? Xuanjian's opponent is the eldest sister Sakura. Yes, please give me your guidance. Don't worry, the league has a rule that the gym owner will take care of the trainers who challenge the gym for the first time. Haha, a weak gym dares to say such a thing. Are you afraid of losing face if you lose? A pleasant voice came in. Xuanjian turned his head and saw a girl who was about the same age as him. Oh, are all the little girls nowadays so sharp-tongued? Sakura said very patiently. The previous gym leader was indeed powerful, and my father was defeated sincerely. But I don't think you are qualified to continue to be in charge of the Cerulean Gym. Instead of ruining its reputation, why not hand it over to me? Little sister, it's not easy to be a gym leader. We are recognized by the league. If you want to replace us, you have to defeat us first. As a rookie trainer, you don't have that strength yet. How dare you question the strength of the genius girl Duoji? I'll beat you to a pulp soon. Ahem, you two, can we settle your grudges later? Xuanjian interrupted the two. Sorry, let's get started. The Cerulean Gym uses a 3-on-3 match. Gym trainers cannot exchange Pokémon, but challengers can. So let's get started. Sakura decided to show some strength. If the boy performed well, she could give him a badge after he lost the match. My first Pokémon is Magikarp. Looking at the Magikarp released by Sakura, Xuanjian also took out a Pokéball. Come out, Magikarp. Magikarp, which had not been active for a long time, swam around excitedly as soon as it appeared in the pool. It had been holding back for a while. Magikarp? This kind of Pokémon has no combat power before it evolves. Duoga muttered. We attack first, Magikarp, hit. Xuanjian ordered. The Magikarp, who received the order, immediately rushed over like the Magikarp. How can we retreat from this skill, Magikarp, Diamondback? Sakura ordered, but thought in her heart, this trainer is not very good. How can he not suffer a loss in a collision with the Magikarp? But Magikarp has no other skills to use. The two Pokémon rushed towards each other and were about to collide. Xuanjian suddenly ordered, "Jump up." Compared with speed, Magikarp is far inferior to Magikarp. This is a racial gap that is difficult to make up, but compared with jumping, Magikarp admits second place and no one dares to admit first place. Magikarp jumped high and avoided Magikarp's fatal blow. At the same time, he adjusted his body in the air and fell heavily, hitting Magikarp's back before he could react. Xuanjian shook his head. Whether it was the trainer or the Pokémon, their adaptability was not good. No wonder they were called weak gyms. Pokémon battles are not just about everyone standing and releasing skills to see who is stronger. Magikarp's attack caused damage to Magikarp, but it was not enough to make it lose its combat effectiveness. Sakura also responded, "Goldfish, use Shadow Clone, then use Horn Slam." As a water-type Pokémon, many skills like Water Gun lose their effect when fighting in water, and advanced skills are obviously not learned yet, so they can only use the simplest skills for attack and defense. However, such a battle tests one's level. "Magika, dodge to the left," Xuanjian ordered, but he didn't expect to make a wrong judgment, and Magikarp was still hit. Want to judge the direction of attack by water waves? Smart way, but it doesn't work for me. This Magikarp often participates in various performances, and its ability to control water waves is very strong. Magikarp, do another Horn Slam. Is that so? Then Magikarp moved down. The trust cultivated over a long period of time made Magikarp still follow Xuanjian's orders without hesitation after Xuanjian made a mistake in judgment. It's useless. Magikarp is not as fast as the horned goldfish, so it can't dodge. After the attack failed, the horned goldfish did not give up, but turned around and chased after Magikarp. "Magikarp, use your powerful tail to attack the belly of the horned goldfish," Xuanjian suddenly ordered when he estimated that the horned goldfish was about to catch up with the diving Magikarp. At this time, the horned goldfish was behind and above Magikarp. Magikarp dived suddenly, and the horned goldfish immediately rushed above him. Then, he swung his powerful tail like when he jumped, hitting the belly of the horned goldfish heavily, knocking it up and floating up. "Don't relax, keep jumping and hitting," Xuanjian ordered. The horned goldfish, whose belly was attacked, found it a little difficult to control its body at this time, and was completely unable to resist the combo of Magikarp. This is the advantage of physical skills. Magikarp, who attacked with the power of water splashing and collision, hit the belly of the horned goldfish hard, and the latter directly lost its combat effectiveness. "I actually lost." Sakura couldn't believe that her goldfish was defeated by Magikarp. "Well done, Magikarp. Now please bring out the next Pokémon. It's another 3,000-word chapter. Considering how hard I worked, please give me some votes." Chapter 14 Elf Virus. Listening to Xuanjian's arrogant words, Sakura was a little angry. "Go, Marill, I won't let you win easily this time." Sakura summoned a mouse-like Pokémon and landed on the floating board. Marill is currently considered to be a Water-type plus General, which is actually a Water plus Fairy Pokémon. Magikarp, dive to the bottom of the water. Magikarp would definitely not be able to beat Marill in a head-on confrontation, so Xuanjian chose to swim and fight. "I won't let you run away, Marill, chase it and use brute force." Xuanjian's eyelids twitched. Could it be that this Pokémon's characteristic is strong man? Then it will definitely lose. "Magikarp, use your tail to fight back." Magikarp's powerful tail collided with Marill's tail, but it was obvious that Marill, who used a skill, was more powerful, and Magikarp was hit and fell down. However, Xuanjian breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that the characteristic was not strong man, otherwise Magikarp would lose its combat effectiveness. Under the buffer of water, Magikarp suffered less damage than expected, but Xuanjian estimated that Magikarp's small body could not withstand a few hits. "Marill, come again." Magikarp, float up and attack more. Magikarp seemed to be unable to defeat Marill, so let it consume Marill's physical strength and try to force it to use some skills. Magikarp's speed in the water was obviously faster than Marill, and it successfully dodged this attack, but was also forced to the surface. "Now let's see where you can escape, Marill, keep attacking." Sakura saw that she had the advantage and couldn't wait to order a chase. Magikarp, rush down and use collision. Magikarp rushed down and collided with Marill, who was floating up, and naturally was knocked out of the water without a doubt. Death struggle. Xuanjian estimated Magikarp's physical strength and calmly issued the last order. Magikarp in the air immediately adjusted its body, used all its strength on its tail, and smashed towards Meryl, who floated up to the surface to breathe. If this smash was solid, Meryl would also suffer considerable damage. But things don't always go as Xuanjian wants. Sakura responded quickly. Meryl used the water cannon to stop Magikarp. A powerful stream of water spurted out of Meryl's mouth, and it collided with Magikarp's tail, splashing water everywhere. Compared with Magikarp, which relies entirely on gravity to fall in the air, the water cannon fired by Meryl is obviously more powerful. In the end, Meryl was unscathed, while Magikarp was blown away by the water cannon and fell on another floating board. Magikarp. Xuanjian looked at Magikarp, who was opening and closing his mouth to breathe on the floating board, worriedly. Meryl, give it the last impact. Sakura ordered. Looking at Meryl rushing over, Magikarp tried to struggle, but it had consumed too much energy. It's okay, Magikarp, you're already very good. Xuanjian comforted, taking out the Pokemon ball to take back Magikarp. But Magikarp still struggled unwillingly. Since the battle with Spearow, it has never lost, but it didn't expect to lose here today. The Metapod in the team had no fighting power at all, and Charmander's attributes were completely suppressed. If he fell down now, he would most likely lose the game. No, I can't just give up like this. Magikarp struggled with all his might, trying to get back into the water. As Magikarp struggled, its body emitted a burst of white light. Is this going to evolve? Xuanjian was surprised. Meryl, who had already rushed over on the other side, also stopped, waiting for Magikarp to complete its evolution. In the white light, a huge figure had gradually taken shape, but before Xuanjian could be happy, the giant beast suddenly let out a whine and struggled to shrink again. The white light dissipated, leaving only an unconscious Magikarp. The evolution failed. Magikarp. Seeing that the evolution failed, Xuanjian's excitement suddenly fell through, and he was stunned for a moment. Without thinking too much, he quickly jumped into the pool and swam to Magikarp. Sorry, I gave up the gym competition. I want to send Magikarp to the Pokémon Center. Xuanjian hugged Magikarp, climbed onto the shore, and hurriedly prepared to leave. If you don't mind, can you let me take a look? I'm half a doctor, I can help you with some first aid. It won't take much time. The girl Duoji who was watching the game came over. Of course, no problem. Please. The Cerulean Gym is a distance away from the Pokémon Center, so it would be better if someone could help with first aid in advance. The girl took the Magikarp, checked it carefully, and said, it's no big deal. The reason why Magikarp lost consciousness is because of evolution failure. Then why did it fail to evolve? Xuanjian certainly knew that there was such a thing as evolution failure, but he was helpless when he really encountered it. Well, Magikarp's body temperature was about 2-3 higher than normal. After falling into coma, there was no muscle weakness, but the muscles were strong, so it seems that it was infected with a Pokémon virus. Pokémon virus? I know about this thing, but I haven't heard that it will affect evolution. If it was in the game of the previous life, everyone would be very eager to be infected with a Pokémon virus. That depends on what Pokémon it is. The Pokémon virus has not been found to be harmful to Pokémon so far. On the contrary, it will stimulate the potential of Pokémon. Pokémon like Magikarp, which have a huge difference before and after evolution, may burst out with potential and temporarily evolve into Gyarados. But your Magikarp has reached the edge of evolution, so the short evolution allows it to make up for that slight gap and reach the standard of evolution. But your Magikarp was cultivated too well. After the potential was stimulated by the Pokémon virus, the Gyarados evolved was too powerful. It was not satisfied by the energy accumulated in its body, so the evolution failed. My father mentioned this situation in his training diary. Duoga said in an affirmative tone, and at the same time he looked at Sakura proudly, as if to say, you, a water gym trainer, don't know as much as I do. Thank you, Miss Duoga. But I still want to go to the Pokémon Center to ask Miss Joy for help to do a comprehensive examination. I will definitely thank you if I have the chance in the future. As he said that, Xuanjian ran to the Pokémon Center with Magikarp in his arms. This guy, I said it's okay, why can't he finish the gym match before leaving? Duoga complained as he looked at Xuanjian's hurried back. This guy looks very strong. If he helps to consume more of the strength of the cerulean gem, he will definitely win easily. Trainer Xuanjian abstains, so the next challenger please prepare. Sakura watched Xuanjian leave and breathed a sigh of relief. Although this kid has just debuted, he is unexpectedly strong. Then, the next one is Duoga from Cerulean City. The girl who had just had a conflict with Sakura heard her name being called and was about to challenge, but she did not show the idea of being impatient to fight, but shouted, sorry, I suddenly remembered that my Pokémon haven't had breakfast yet, so I definitely can't show my strength. I want to take them to have breakfast. Please extend my challenge time. Then she ran away in a hurry, asking for votes. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15. Continue the challenge. Xuanjian brought Magikarp to the Pokémon Center quickly. After Joey's examination, the conclusion he came to was exactly the same as the result given by Duoga. After handing Magikarp to Joey, he had a hasty lunch, and waited anxiously for the appointment time. Xuanjian found Joey again. At this time, Magikarp, who had been treated by Joey, had woken up. Seeing Magikarp jumping around, Xuanjian finally breathed a sigh of relief. Magikarp, are you feeling okay? Xuanjian asked, looking at the recovered Magikarp. Magikarp opened and closed its mouth, shook its head, as if to say that it was great. That's good. Xuanjian breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing Magikarp jumping around, it seemed that there were no sequelae. There's nothing wrong with Magikarp's body. This is the first time I've encountered Magikarp's failed evolution. I don't know what to do, but Pokémon that failed to evolve generally need to rest well. Don't put it in the Pokéball during this period. It's best to put it in the water for recuperation. Miss Joey suggested. In Cerulean City, where else is there a better place to rest than the Cerulean Gym? Xuanjian had no choice but to take it back to the Cerulean Gym, hoping to use their pool for Magikarp to recuperate. At the same time, Xuanjian asked them what the trainer needed to do to help Magikarp after Magikarp failed to evolve. After all, they were a water gym and should have more experience in this area. The three sisters of the Cerulean Gym readily agreed to Xuanjian's request and took him to the pool, asking Xuanjian to put Magikarp in the pool. Magikarp immediately swam happily. But the three sisters of Cerulean Gym said they could not help Xuanjian's request. Sorry, although we are a water gym, we have never cultivated Magikarp. Sakura said apologetically. Magikarp was dazed, but the evolved Gyarados looked so ferocious and not suitable for stage performances, so the three sisters had no idea of cultivating it. As for the younger sister, Xuanjian, because of her childhood experience, she still has a shadow on Gyarados. It's okay, but thank you for your help. Xuanjian was not too disappointed. He didn't have much hope for the professional ability of the three sisters of Hulan in water Pokémon. At this time, Xuanjian saw a familiar figure still staying in Hulan Gym. Miss Duoga, thank you for your help this morning. Is there anything I can do for you? Xuanjian was still very grateful for Duoga's help in the morning. Seeing Xuanjian, Duoga's eyes lit up, making Xuanjian feel as if he was being stared at. Haha, Xuanjian, you're back. Is Magikarp okay? It's okay. You are worthy of being Miss Duoga. It's exactly what Joey said. Haha, it's a small matter. At this time, Sakura came over. Miss Duoga, do you still want to challenge the gym? If you don't challenge, we will close it. Hey, Miss Duoga haven't challenged yet. Xuanjian remembered that she was behind him. Well, there are many people challenging me today, and it seems that they are all very busy. I am an idle person and can do it any time, so let them go first. Why do I feel that you are not sure and want to let others consume us more? Xuanjian, one of the four Hulan sisters, appeared out of nowhere and complained. Xuanjian looked at the first-generation heroine in the anime. At this time, Xuanjian looked younger than himself, probably about 9 years old. What nonsense are you talking about, little brat? You are only 1 year older than me. Xuanjian's answer proved Xuanjian's guess. Humph, I won't bother with you. By the way, Xuanjian's gym match hasn't been finished yet. You guys don't want to deny it because you think he is too good, right? He said he gave up the match. Xuanjian shouted. That's true. Thank you, Miss Duoga, for your concern. Xuanjian didn't want to get involved in their fight, so he quickly expressed his position. Did you hear that? Mind your own business. I care about Pokémon, so I had to give up the competition. And there are so many trainers coming and going in the Cerulean gym every day, so Magikarp might have been infected with a virus here. You just bully him because he's strong. And if you lose a gym match, you can't challenge again until a week later. Isn't that a waste of time? Gyms can challenge each other repeatedly until they win, but in order to allow gym trainers to rest and prevent some trainers from getting badges by pestering others, the league stipulates that it can only be challenged again after a week after losing a gym match. Of course, if a gym trainer is willing to make an exception, the league can't do anything about it. Misty was furious, but was stopped by Sakura. Ms. Duoji has a point. As a gym trainer, we should be considerate of trainers, Sakura said, turning to Genma. If Mr. Genma doesn't mind, we can continue the game. But Meryl has been treated and has recovered all her strength. No problem. It's great to be able to continue the gym battle. Meryl didn't suffer any damage in the first place. With Magikarp temporarily unable to participate in the battle, it is undoubtedly more advantageous to continue the game than to start a new gym battle. Even if I lose, I can still gain more experience. Okay, then please come with me. Arriving at the battle site again, Sakura summoned Meryl to wait for the battle, while Xiaoxia and Duoji watched from the sidelines, cheering for both sides. Come out, Zubat. Genma called out Zubat, then we'll attack first. Zubat, Sonic Wave. Meryl, jump into the water. Sakura commanded Meryl to jump into the water. The water isolation weakens Zubat's attack. This is also the difference between the water field and other fields. Except for the electric-type Pokémon, all attribute attacks will be weakened by water. Shadow Clone. Seeing that the attack did not work, Xuanjian immediately switched to defense. Meryl used the water gun to sweep. Meryl emerged from the water and sprayed a stream of water from her mouth into the air, and the shadow clones were instantly destroyed. Guzbit, Ultrasonic Wave. Seeing Meryl emerge, Xuanjian ordered. Zubat had learned Shadow Clone not long ago and was not proficient in this skill. It was unable to control the shadows to move together, and was immediately discovered. The water gun and ultrasonic wave hit each other at the same time, and one of them was hurt and the other fell into confusion. Good opportunity, use Fang attack. Xuanjian saw the confused Meryl and immediately ordered. Meryl, get out of the way. Sakura ordered anxiously. But it was obvious that she was not able to wake up the confused Meryl with her level. Meryl just sprayed water guns randomly in the air. Dodging the water guns that were shooting everywhere, Zubat flew behind Meryl, and accurately hit Meryl with its fangs, injecting toxins into her body. Well done, Zubat, follow up with a wave of Venom Blast. Xuanjian continued to pursue the victory and use the skills that Zubat had just learned. A ball of purple venom spurted out of Zubat's mouth and rushed to Meryl. The Venom Blast skill is not very effective when used alone, but it is very effective for Pokémon that are in a poison state. The Venom attack interacted with the toxins in Meryl's body, causing double damage to the poisoned Meryl, and Meryl, who was still in chaos, immediately lost her combat effectiveness. Xuanjian gained the upper hand again. Vote. I received the text message notifying me of the signing, so excited. Chapter 16 The First Badge. Come back, Meryl. Sakura took back Meryl and replaced it with a new Pokémon. Go, Starfish. Let's use the ultrasonic wave again. Xuanjian ordered. Zubat used ultrasonic waves to attack Starfish, but Starfish flexibly hid in the water and avoided the attack. You can't escape, Starfish. Electromagnetic wave. I didn't expect this Starfish to have electric skills. Trouble. Xuanjian thought. It was probably because Zubat was hit by a water gun first and was soaked, and the electromagnetic wave hit it accurately and paralyzed it. Good opportunity, Starfish, use water cannon. Zubat, dodge. Xuanjian ordered, but it was a pity that Zubat, who was paralyzed, could barely fly, let alone dodge the attack. The double electric damage plus the water cannon attack made Zubat lose its combat effectiveness. Zubat, you did a great job, take a rest first. Xuanjian took back Zubat and said to it. There's no other way. I can only give it a try. Charmander. Xuanjian was about to take out the Charmander with unfavorable attributes, when suddenly a Pokeball on his waist opened by itself. What is this? The Pokeball that opened contained Metapod. Metapod evolved from Caterpillar has no fighting power, and does not eat or drink. Generally, it can only upgrade by digesting the energy stored during the Caterpillar period. But Xuanjian can only use telekinesis, and he abused many weak Pokemon along the way. In addition, Xuanjian used the power of Changpan to help it recover, which was very different from the treatment of other Metapods. Therefore, the intimacy between one person and one pet increased quickly. Before the challenge, Xuanjian made a tactical analysis of all the members. The original plan was for 2 Pokemon to win the game, and Charmander would only play when he had no choice. Although Charmander is no longer so afraid of water after some training, it is really a waste of time to let it play. Unexpectedly, Metapod saw that Charmander, whose attributes were completely unfavorable, was going to play, and he was anxious and evolved immediately. This evolution was uneventful. The light faded and a beautiful Butterfree appeared in the sky. Unlike the conspicuous Caterpillar period, the evolved Butterfree looked almost insignificant, but its longer silver antennae showed its difference. P.S. Don't ask me why I didn't describe Butterfree's growth process in detail. Even if it was a telekinetic Metapod, the battle was boring, and it was just bullying caterpillars and unicorns. It was boring, it's good this way. Others can't tell that this is a shiny Pokemon. It's much safer this way. Xuanjian thought. If Butterfree was as conspicuous as it was in the Caterpillar period, he really wouldn't dare to take it out casually. Shiny Pokemon are extremely precious, even if it's just Butterfree. Team Rocket is not the only one in the world that would forcibly snatch Pokemon. With his current strength, he really can't keep shiny Pokemon. Since Butterfree has reached the evolution level in Metapod, but its body has not yet developed, Butterfree's skills are higher than the evolution requirements. Xuanjian took out the illustrations, and the civil engineering immediately showed the skills that Butterfree had learned: telekinesis, mental telekinesis, wind, silver whirlwind, poison powder, paralysis powder, hypnotic powder, mysterious protection. In the water field against the water spirit, Charmander is in a completely disadvantageous state, and it can be said that the focus is on participation. At this time, Metapod evolved in time and became the strongest one in the team. In addition, facing the Gemstar with superpower attributes, Butterfree has an attribute advantage. You came too timely, Butterfree, this game is up to you. Butterfree nodded and flapped its wings to fly over the pool. Butterfree? It can fly again. Gemstar, use strange light. Water against air is a state where no one can hurt anyone. If the opponent is not stained with water, electromagnetic waves are not easy to hit, so it is better to give the opponent a state first. Butterfree, mysterious protection. Butterfree's wings shone with a beautiful and mysterious light, which would prevent Butterfree from showing abnormal status for a while. Butterfree, silver whirlwind. After adding the status, Xuanjian immediately ordered Butterfree to attack. Gem Starfish, sink into the water. Then use poison powder on the field. As Xuanjian ordered, Butterfree's wings sprinkled with poison powder, which fell on the water surface, making the water surface look particularly strange. This move directly made Gem Starfish dare not surface to attack, and as time went on, the poison powder would pollute the water body and poison Gem Starfish, which was very vicious. Looking at the spots of poison powder on the water surface, Sakura did not dare to delay any longer and planned to make a quick decision. Gem Starfish, pray for rain. As Sakura ordered, a dark cloud appeared in the sky and raindrops fell densely. Xuanjian ignored the falling rain. Butterfree's special wings allowed it to fly in the rain without being disturbed. Therefore, he chose to continue attacking. Butterfree, use Psychic. Although the effect of Insect-type skills is large, they will be blocked by water, while Psychic-type skills will be much less weakened. Moreover, for this Butterfree, Psychic-type skills are its forte. We are not afraid of Psychic-type skills. Gem Starfish, Psychic Shock. Sakura did not know that this Butterfree was a hidden shining Butterfree. In her opinion, although Butterfree's basic skills have telekinesis, it must be much worse than Gem Starfish with psychic attributes. The mental powers of both sides collided with each other, but the result was beyond Sakura's expectation. Gem Starfish with psychic attributes actually lost. But it's useless now. It's over. Gem Starfish used Thunder. Sakura watched the rain getting heavier and heavier, and ordered confidently. With the double damage of the electric type to Butterfree, it was enough to end the game. Xuanjian also looked at the thunder and lightning brewing in the dark clouds, secretly exclaiming that he actually forgot this move. Xuanjian immediately ordered Butterfree, speed out silk and use telekinesis to control this silk thread to protect yourself. Butterfree was very good at using telekinesis to control silk thread when it was a caterpillar, and he hoped to use it this time. Butterfree did not disappoint Xuanjian's expectations, and quickly spit out silk threads to form an umbrella-shaped barrier, blocking its head and blocking the falling lightning. The lightning flashed, and Xuanjian also tightened his heart. Thunder is powerful, and it is completely unknown whether this trick will work. Finally, the lightning dissipated, and Butterfree still stood in the air. Although it suffered some damage, it did not lose its combat effectiveness. Good job, Butterfree used telekinesis to pick up the Gem Star. As a water-type Pokémon, Gem Star consumes a lot of energy to use electric skills, and some of the lightning just now fell into the water along with the rain, causing Gem Star to suffer electric shock damage. In addition to the failure of the superpower competition just now, Gem Star was picked up from the water by Butterfree. Starfish, use 100,000 volts. Sakura ordered, looking at the starfish that was lifted into the air. If you used it in the water just now, you would only hurt yourself. Now you don't have to worry about that. You didn't think I was going to use Charmander to attack the Cerulean Gym, did you? Did I say this is a realistic book? Charmander attacking the water gym is courting death. It's not bad that he lost his combat effectiveness when he first entered the field because he was afraid of water and couldn't stand steadily. Charizard was almost the same, he directly boiled the water in a pool. Chapter 17 Rewards. The situation was critical. If Butterfree was hit by 100,000 volts, then with its remaining little physical strength, the game would be over. Butterfree, use the collision to hit and bring damage to Starfish. Xuanjian ordered. Butterfree rushed forward in the lightning, and Starfish was unable to dodge and was accurately hit by Butterfree. The two Pokémon's bodies touched each other, and the current was immediately transmitted to Starfish, causing double the electric damage to Starfish. After the fierce collision, Starfish was knocked down from the air and hit the ground beside the pool. Butterfree was also injured by the current and fell on the floating board. Starfish is a peculiar among water types. Compared with most water types with high physical attack and defense and thick health, Starfish has thin health, weak physical attack and defense, and strong special attack and special defense. Therefore, the damage caused by 100,000 volts to it is far less than that to Butterfree. But the damage caused by the collision and falling from a high altitude is extremely serious. The gem in the center of the Gem Star flickered weakly, and Butterfree's wings drooped weakly on the ground, shaking all over. Both sides seemed to be completely unable to fight in the next second. Sakura and Genma stared at the two Pokémon in the field that were almost completely unable to fight, waiting for the final result. At this moment, time seemed to pass extremely slowly, and no one dared to breathe through their mouths, as if they were afraid that the breath they exhaled would affect the result. Suddenly, a flash of purple flashed on the Gem Star's body. It was the poison powder that was stained when it was fished out of the water. The damage caused by this little bit of poison powder became the last straw that broke the camel's back, and the gem of the Gem Star lost its fight first. Gem Star has lost its fighting power, Butterfree won. The winner is Genma from Kyanmo Village. Sakura, who was a part-time referee, announced, and then took back the Gem Star. You did a good job, Gem Star. Come back and rest first. Butterfree, well done, we won. Genma was so happy that he almost jumped up. Hearing this, Butterfree also relaxed and lost its fighting power. His hands were shaking with excitement and he could hardly hold the Pokéball. He tried to calm himself down and took Butterfree back. Xuanjian gently stroked the Pokéball and said softly, "Thank you everyone." He knew that the Pokémon in his hand was still very weak and its attributes were not advantageous. He didn't have much hope before. His purpose was just to train the Pokémons. He didn't say it because he was afraid that the Pokémons would be disappointed and lose their fighting spirit. He didn't expect that the Pokémons would think that he was eager to get a badge, and they all worked so hard, giving him such a huge surprise. Although the Cerulean Gym is just a weak gym, since the league recognizes it, it means that the trainers who can defeat the Cerulean Gym have met the minimum requirements, which is also a big hurdle for novice trainers. Now that he has successfully defeated the Cerulean Gym, he can be said to have gotten rid of the title of novice trainer. In the official evaluation of the league, he has also reached the level of a junior trainer. Congratulations. Sakura came over and said openly, I have tried my best in this game, but I didn't expect to lose. I was going to give you a badge to recognize your performance after defeating you, but I didn't expect you to win. Xuanjian. Although my strength is not strong, it is not easy for you to beat me. There is a healing machine in the gym, you can use it if you need it. Sakura said. Generally, if the injury is not too serious, the healing machine can also do the job. For minor injuries, people also like to use healing machines. After all, there is only one Pokemon Center in each city, and there are too many people who need treatment. If it is not an emergency, it will take a long time to wait. Okay, thank you. Xuanjian certainly would not refuse, and handed the Pokeball to Sakura, and put it into the healing machine to treat the Pokemon. The treatment will take a while, Sakura said to Xuanjian, and handed over a beautiful blue badge. This is the badge of the Cerulean Gym, which means that the Cerulean Gym recognizes your strength. In addition, according to the rules of the Alliance, the gym owner can give some rewards based on the performance of the new trainer. Really? How come I have never heard of it? Xuanjian asked curiously. Well, but whether this reward is issued is decided by the gym trainer, not necessarily by the challenger's good performance. Because if it is not issued, the gym trainer can take 3% of the remaining prizes as their own rewards every year, so many people choose not to issue them. However, these prizes are things like skill learning machines. The three of us sisters are not very interested in fighting, so we occasionally issue them. Xuanjian naturally understood what was not said. Other gym owners would naturally not be so casual. They must want to improve their own strength, so they generally would not give them. Thank you so much. Xuanjian thanked sincerely. It's nothing, anyway, we can't use it. Sakura positioned herself very accurately. Except for Xuanjian, her sisters had very limited combat talents, which were not enough to support a gym, so her sister's task was to try their best to keep the gym from closing until Xuanjian grew up. The weak have their own way of survival. If the resources in their hands are not used, they will be wasted, so why not use them to make friends with some talented trainers? Maybe in the future, when they encounter difficulties, they will remember this favor and help them. The prize is 2 skill learning machines, one is Freezing Beam, and the other is Water Pulse. Sakura handed the 2 skill learning machines to Xuanjian, one is Ice type and the other is Water type. Compared with the Rocket Team's one that can be learned 3 times, these 2 can only be used once. Thank you, Miss Sakura, Xuanjian thanked, looking at the badge and skill learning machine in his hand. Xuanjian sighed, if only all gym leaders were like this. After hearing Xuanjian's sigh, Sakura hesitated for a moment, and finally said, in addition to the gym trainers actively giving, trainers can also actively strive for it. If you also want to get rewards in other gyms, then you must clearly tell the gym trainers that you want to get rewards before the challenge. But I don't recommend you to do this, because once you say that, when they fight you, it will not be a teaching style battle, but they will show a certain strength. In this case, it will be difficult for you to get the badge. Okay, thank you, I will do my best. Xuanjian nodded. For the reward, it is totally worth a try. Seeing Xuanjian's expression, Sakura immediately understood what he was thinking, and she said solemnly, don't be careless, once you start this type of challenge, this gym will handle all your challenges in this mode in the future. That is to say, the difficulty of getting the badge will increase significantly. Originally, newcomers would not be told these things, but I told you because I see that you are not the reckless person. This is why most of the people who successfully collect 8 badges and participate in the Quartz Conference every year are newcomers. Many veterans are stuck in a certain gym because they overestimate themselves. Xuanjian nodded, so that's the case. No wonder many of the participants in the competition every year are newcomers. Newcomers don't know this rule, so they only challenge the lowest difficulty, so it is easier for them to get badges. After noting Sakura's favor, Xuanjian thought about it and said to Sakura, I heard that Miss Sakura, you 3 sisters like to perform. Yes, you can come and see our performance when you are free. Then I have a suggestion. I heard that in areas outside of Kanto such as Hone, there is a special group of people born based on trainers. They are called coordinators and performers. Compared with trainers who pursue the combat power of Pokemon, they pursue the charm of Pokemon to show people. I think it is suitable for you. Oh, there is such a profession? It sounds good. I will find out when I have time. Thank you. Sakura answered politely. I don't know if she had known the news for a long time, so she didn't seem too excited. Then she turned to Duoge, Ms. Duoge, are you ready to challenge? I fixed the bug of the original animation. Please vote. Chapter 18 The Challenge of Multitrack. Hearing Sakura's question, Duoge replied, of course, isn't the purpose of coming to the gym to challenge. But Xuanjian felt that she seemed to lack confidence, and her face seemed to be too serious. Maybe she is too nervous. Xuanjian thought so. Okay, then Mr. Xuanjian, for the sake of fairness, can you be the referee? Sakura asked Xuanjian. Of course I can. Then please follow me, there is a spare venue over there. Everyone followed to a new pool, and Sakura and Duoge stood at the two ends of the venue. Then I announced that Duoge, a new trainer from Cerulean City, will challenge Sakura at Cerulean Gym. The venue is the water venue. The number of Pokemon that both parties can use is 3. Gym trainers are not allowed to exchange Pokemon, but challengers can exchange Pokemon. Then I declare the game to begin. Xuanjian said, imitating the tone of the referee he had seen. Go, little sea lion. Sakura is the first to summon a Pokemon. I don't know if it's because she has dealt with too many challengers today and the Pokemon in her hand have been almost used up, so she used such a Pokemon. At least in Xuanjian's opinion, this little sea lion has just gotten rid of the novice level. Duoge had a smug smile on his face. It seemed that his plan had succeeded. The opponent brought out such a weak Pokemon, and he should be able to win. Go, Squirtle. Duoge summoned a Squirtle, which was probably her first Pokemon. It looked well trained, both in terms of physique and spirit. Challenger, please attack first. Squirtle free play. Duoge said something that amazed the whole audience. Free play? Is this a skill? Xuanjian asked Xuanjian curiously. No, well, how should I put it? Xuanjian was also confused. This is to let Squirtle fight freely, and the trainer does not give it any instructions. Some Pokemon have high combat qualities and can do well without the cooperation of the trainer, so some trainers often do this to show their strength. Or the Pokemon and the trainer have a very high degree of tacit understanding, and they can cooperate tacitly without using words. It sounds amazing. Xuanjian nodded. Either way, it was rare. Could it be that the young girl who had just become a trainer in front of him was so talented? Hearing Duoge's order, Squirtle opened his mouth and sprayed a stream of water at the little sea lion. The little sea lion did not need the trainer's order, and turned around and jumped into the water from the float to avoid the attack. Little sea lion, swim over and push Squirtle into the water. Sakura ordered. The little sea lion immediately swam over to Squirtle, pushed it up from under the float, and immediately pushed Squirtle into the water. Compared to the little sea lion that lives in the water most of the time, although Squirtle is also a water-type Pokemon, it lives on land most of the time and is not as flexible in the water as the little sea lion. Seeing that the little sea lion successfully pushed Squirtle into the water, Sakura immediately ordered the little sea lion to use various physical skills to attack Squirtle from all sides. The way Squirtle responded to the attack was to shrink into its shell and use its hard shell to resist the attack. However, this little sea lion is not good at fighting, but has a full talent for performance. When he saw Squirtle shrinking into its shell, he immediately thought of the ball he usually played with, and immediately excitedly pushed Squirtle up and played all kinds of tricks. In the end, this strange battle ended with Squirtle being pushed back and forth like a ball, making him dizzy and losing his fighting power. This is the so-called free play. It doesn't seem to be a big deal. Xuanjian muttered on the side. There's nothing we can do. Although Pokemon are very smart, most of them are not as good as humans. Without the command of a trainer, many Pokemon cannot fully exert their strength. Otherwise, with the level of that Squirtle, it would not be difficult to defeat the little sea lion. Humph, no matter what you say, my elder sister is the winner. Xuanjian said proudly. Xuanjian shook his head speechlessly and looked at Duoge, who was still posing next to him. Miss Duoge. Well, what's the matter? Duoge replied, but her voice sounded very strange, and the feeling of being full of energy and showing off was completely gone. Everyone looked at her, and Xuanjian realized that something was wrong with Duoge. Although she crossed her arms and pretended to be calm, her closed eyes, pale face, and hands tightly holding her clothes all showed that she was abnormal. Miss Duoge, are you okay? Xuanjian asked. Could she be sick? The people in this world have good physical fitness and rarely get sick, but looking at the other person's appearance, isn't it exactly the same as those girls with stomach ache in the previous life? I'm fine. What's wrong? Duoge still closed his eyes and didn't look at the field. What? You didn't even know that your Pokemon had lost its combat effectiveness? Xiaoxia complained. What? Duoga suddenly opened his eyes and was shocked when he saw Squirtle fainted on the field. How could it be? I'm sorry, Squirtle, I shouldn't have let you fight. Then he put away Squirtle and bowed to everyone. Sorry, I give up this game. Then he ran away without looking back. Still like this? Sakura sighed helplessly and took back the little sea lion. Still like this? Could it be that Miss Duoga was like this before? Xuanjian couldn't help but ask curiously. Well, their family and ours are acquaintances, right? This kid obviously likes Pokemon, but he's like this when he encounters a battle. Sakura shook her head, unwilling to talk more. Thank you, Mr. Xuanjian. Leave the Magikarp here, you can take it away at any time if you need it. It's just a small thing, I should be thanking you. Dividing line. After challenging the Cerulean Gym, Xuanjian did not rush to go on the road, but planned to rest in Cerulean City. In addition, a lot of supplies he brought with him were consumed, and he needed to replenish some, and at the same time deal with some medicinal materials collected along the way, so Xuanjian stayed at the Pokemon Center. For trainers recognized by the Alliance, the Pokemon Center is a good boarding point. Not only is the food and accommodation free, but it is also safe and comfortable. Of course, if there is no special reason, such free boarding is time limited. In the Pokemon Center, Xuanjian met many trainers, both newcomers and veterans. Xuanjian challenges some trainers every day, and most trainers accept it with pleasure, and the two sides have a friendly exchange. Through these competitions and daily training, Xuanjian's elves grew rapidly. Estimating that the free boarding time was almost up, Xuanjian decided to continue his journey. But just as he was about to set off, an unexpected person stopped him. Miss Duoga, what do you want to do for me? Xuanjian looked at the person in front of him and asked. Well, I have something to talk to you about. Duoga nodded. There is a tea restaurant over there with a nice environment. Let's go there to talk. Chapter 19, Magikarp is difficult to evolve. Xuanjian nodded and agreed to the invitation. It's my honor. In the tea restaurant, the waiter brought the dishes ordered by the two people, closed the door of the private room, and politely left. The tea and snacks in this restaurant are unique in Hulan City, come and try them. Duoga enthusiastically invited Xuanjian to taste the tea and snacks, as if he had forgotten his purpose. Xuanjian tasted it and it was indeed delicious. No wonder he dared to sell it so expensively, but these were all trivial matters. He had already made plans for today and didn't have time to waste with the other party. Miss Duoga, just tell me what's the matter. I will definitely help if I can. Mr. Xuanjian is really straightforward. Then I will be frank. I want to ask Mr. Xuanjian to help me defeat the Cerulean Gym. Defeat the Cerulean Gym. Xuanjian remembered Duoga's strange performance in the Cerulean Gym challenge and frowned. But as far as I know, you can't ask someone to replace you in the gym challenge, right? You misunderstood. It's not the kind of defeat for the sake of getting a badge, but a real defeat. A real defeat. Xuanjian didn't understand what this meant. She looked at Duoga in confusion, waiting for her explanation. That's right. Duoga's face became serious. Compared to ordinary gym competitions, there is a special way of challenge, which is a challenge that directly uses the ownership of the gym as a bet. Send out Pokemon that meet the requirements to challenge. The winner can become the gym owner. However, ordinary people are not qualified to challenge, but my family is qualified, and I can grant this qualification to you. Is this a disguised recruitment? Although the benefits of being a gym owner are huge, Xuanjian was not carried away. From what you said, your family seems to be a noble family. Of course, the girl said with a hint of pride, my family is a family with hundreds of years of heritage, longer than the birth of the Alliance. Then since your family is so powerful, why don't you send someone from your family to challenge? You know I'm just a trainer who just debuted, and my strength is not enough. Although Xuanjian won the gym competition, he still knew himself. The talent of a trainer may be difficult to improve, but the level of Pokemon will continue to improve. With so many people challenging the Cerulean Gym every day, the level of Pokemon in the hands of the three sisters of the Cerulean Gym cannot be so low. It's true that there are powerful trainers in the family, but the Cerulean Gym also has Pokemon left by the previous gym leader. Those are the Pokemon left by the previous Water King, and no one in the family can fight against them. Since the strong people in your family don't believe it, then it's even more impossible for me. No, only you can. Duoga's tone changed. The strong people in the family are all those who followed my father and our elders, so the Pokemon of the previous Water King will attack them, but you are a new generation of trainers, and they will not fight against you. I noticed you from the competition that day. It's amazing that a newcomer can achieve that level with a few weak Pokemon. And these few days I have also observed your battles with other trainers. Although it was a friendly match, you won more than you lost. You are the most talented trainer I have ever seen. Xuanjian shook his head and rejected this very tempting proposal. Not to mention that there are people outside people and mountains outside mountains. You know your own talent. Sorry, you know I don't have any other water Pokemon except Magikarp. We can help you. Thank you for your interest, but I'm sorry, I can't do anything. Thank you for the hospitality, the snacks are delicious. Xuanjian stood up and prepared to leave. With his small arms and legs, he was really not suitable to join this kind of fight. It must not be that simple for the three Hulan sisters to defend the gym after their father's death. I have a clear plan for the future, so there is no need to do these thankless things. Seeing Xuanjian want to leave, Duoga was not discouraged at all. He ate the last snack leisurely and said to Xuanjian, who walked to the door, "Don't you want your Magikarp to evolve?" Xuanjian steps to the door, stopped immediately because of this sentence, turned around and asked, "What do you mean?" For Pokemon, Xuanjian, who has the soul of an adult, cannot love them as something more than lifelike Xiaozi. At first, he just regarded them as a tool. But people are not plants, who can be heartless. As time goes by in this world, Xuanjian has also changed a lot. Perhaps, he still regards those irrelevant Pokemon as things that have nothing to do with him, but Xuanjian regards the Pokemon that he has captured and cultivated personally as a part of his life, and loves them as if they were his own. Hearing about Magikarp, Xuanjian immediately lost his composure. Sure enough, this is the only way to find your weakness, Mr. Xuanjian. The elders at home should listen to me. If you don't mind, sit down and listen to me slowly. This store also has some good dim sum. Duoga clapped his hands, and the waiter immediately brought new dim sum. Xuanjian walked back to the table and sat down, but he had no intention of tasting the delicious dim sum. Duoga also knew Xuanjian's urgency, so he didn't keep Xuanjian in suspense anymore and said, "Generally speaking, being infected by a Pokemon virus is harmless, and failing to evolve is not a big deal. Even for most Pokemon, failing to evolve due to virus infection doesn't have much impact. But Magikarp is an exception. Why? I don't know the specific reason. After all, this situation is rare. My family has mainly used water-type Pokemon for hundreds of years, so we have recorded a lot of information related to water-type Pokemon, and there has only been one similar situation. The person who left the record speculated that this was because the strength of Pokemon like Magikarp varied greatly after evolution, so when it evolves, it will stimulate a latent power in the body to reshape the body, and this power is difficult to replenish. For other Pokemon, this power is much less, so even if the evolution fails, the loss is very small, and it doesn't matter much. The difference between Magikarp before and after its evolution makes it need more of this power. After taking a sip of the tea, Duoga continued, if it was just a failure of evolution, although this power would be greatly lost, it would still be enough to support the Magikarp to evolve again. But the effect of the Pokemon virus allows this power to be fully stimulated, so that there is basically nothing left after the failure, so the Magikarp can no longer evolve. The senior who left the record spent his entire life cultivating his Magikarp, but in the end it didn't evolve. Xuanjian's face looked a little ugly. He didn't expect such a thing to happen. But since the other party dared to speak up, it meant that the other party had a way, but he still had to support her. Thank you, Miss Duoga, for telling me. I wonder if there is any way to save it. Of course, if not, what's there to talk about? Duoga said, with a little more spirited expression on his face. Although there are no successful cases, how could such a thing be difficult for the genius breeder Duoga? Although the senior did not succeed, it was because he got too little information. As someone who has read all the records of the family, I have found a way. Entering the stage of digging pits and laying the groundwork for the plot. Please wait patiently, it won't be long. Chapter 20 Trading. What method? Go to the Abyss of Xianhe. Abyss of Xianhe. Xuanjian said he had never heard of this name. Well, there are many mysterious places in this world, which are rarely known to the world and difficult to enter. This is also one of the heritage of us nobles. Duoga said proudly, Another ancestor of mine once went to that place and left a record. In that place, there are things that can replenish the potential of elves and help elves evolve. That ancestor had a Pokemon that had completely lost its potential and could not evolve due to a serious injury, but in that place, his Pokemon recovered all its potential and successfully evolved into a powerful fast-swimming Pokemon. After a pause, Duoga continued, although no one in the family has entered since the dwindling of talents after that ancestor, the method of entry has been recorded. If Mr. Xuanjian can cooperate with us, I can help you enter that place. Xuanjian pondered for a moment, and finally nodded, okay, but I can't guarantee that I can help you win the Hulan Gym. If you succeed by chance, I hope you can give the three sisters of Hulan the dignity they deserve. Compared with the three sisters of Hulan, his own Pokemon is undoubtedly more important. He will find a way to compensate them afterwards. It's okay. This is also an investment of mine in you. Even a poor family like the three Hulan sisters dare to invest in you, so why shouldn't I dare? The value of these things is constantly decreasing. Instead of holding on to them, it's better to take a gamble before they completely lose their value. Maybe you can make a lot of money. Duoga smiled. Mr. Xuanjian, you shouldn't have too much psychological burden and feel that you are doing something unforgivable. The Hulan Gym should have belonged to my family. We had an agreement with the previous gym owner. If the descendants are not good, it is better to hand it over to a more suitable person than to let it fail. Then I wonder when Miss Duoga can provide the method to go to that place. Xuanjian asked. Don't worry, we will set off tomorrow. Xuanjian grasped the words sharply. Yes, I will go with you. Duoga leaned back in his chair, looking at the scenery outside the window. You also saw the gym battle that day. Because of some past experiences, I have a fear of Pokemon battles and cannot use Pokemon battles. This is unacceptable to me who wants to be the heir of the family, so I want to go out and travel to see if I can cure this problem. Then I hope we can all achieve our wishes. Well, I hope so. Duoga didn't seem to have much hope for this. By the way, if we want to go to that place, we have to pass through the Orange Islands. We may encounter many water Pokemon along the way. Maybe after this trip, you will have the strength to defeat the Hulan Gym. It's not that easy. Xuanjian shook his head. According to his idea, he would delay it as much as possible. When Xiaoxia grows up, he may not be able to beat her in the water Pokemon battle. At that time, he will find a way to compensate Duoga, and then neither of them will owe each other anything. The two stopped talking and quietly tasted the tea. But such time is always easily broken. The arrival of the middle-aged man broke this peace. Uncle Ming, why are you here? Duoga looked at the middle-aged man who walked into the private room and asked somewhat unhappily. Miss, although you have the power to make decisions, we also have the power to test whether your decision is correct. You know that your current position is not stable, and those who have split the family have been eyeing the position of the head of the family. If your decision is wrong, it will inevitably affect your succession to the position of the head of the family. Uncle Ming, are you not optimistic about my investment? The middle-aged man shook his head. Miss, your vision has always been good, but it concerns the welfare of so many people. I have to be cautious. Then what do you want to do? It's very simple. Let me and Mr. Xuanjian have a Pokemon battle. Let me see his strength. Miss, don't worry, I won't use all my strength. Mr. Xuanjian, I don't know if you. Duoga looked at Xuanjian. Of course I have no problem. I would love to get such a master's guidance. Then please follow me. Uncle Ming was very satisfied with Xuanjian's attitude, and his tone was also more polite. The three came to an ordinary venue dedicated to the competition. The referee was already in place, and some of Duoga's elders were sitting in the audience. The field is a normal field, is that okay? Asked Uncle Ming. Xuanjian shook his head. No problem. Normal fields have an impact on water-type Pokemon such as Magikarp and Goldfish, but most Pokemon can adapt. Then let's get started. My Pokemon is Lanternfish. Uncle Ming released his Pokemon, a well-cultivated Lanternfish, which looked to be of a high level. I wonder if it has not evolved in order to adapt to fighting on land. Water and electricity combination, a very troublesome combination. Xuanjian looked at the Lanternfish on the field and had a headache. No matter which Pokemon he had, they were all restrained. No choice, come out, Butterfree. Xuanjian summoned Butterfree, which was the strongest Pokemon in his hand at the moment. Butterfree, although the attributes are unfavorable, I can only ask you for it. Butterfree nodded and flew into the field. You attack first, Uncle Ming said. In that case, I won't be polite. Butterfree, mysterious guardian. Xuanjian still added insurance to Butterfree first to prevent it from falling into an abnormal state. Lanternfish, use charge. The opponent did not attack directly, but chose to increase special attack and special defense. Silver Whirlwind. After thinking again and again, Xuanjian gave up the poison powder tactic. After all, the opponent has some attributes and must have electrical skills. Just 2 hits on Butterfree will be enough to end the game. There is no time to delay the poison powder to take effect. It is better to fight quickly. Lanternfish, ignore him, and use another discharge. The opponent chose to withstand the attack and increase his own attack, as if he wanted to solve the opponent in one go. Damn it, Xuanjian cursed inwardly. The opponent's style of play completely relies on the suppression of attributes and levels. It is really difficult for him to deal with it. Butterfree, Illusion Light. Xuanjian asked Butterfree to use his best psychic skill, hoping to put the opponent into chaos. Lanternfish, 100,000 volts. No matter what skill you use, this attack is enough to make you lose your combat power. Uncle Ming gave an order, and a series of electric lights immediately came out from Lanternfish and hit Butterfree. But Xuanjian was very lucky today. The Silver Whirlwind just now increased the special defense, so the damage caused by 100,000 volts was lower than expected. Butterfree survived and the game did not end immediately, while the other side of the Lanternfish fell into chaos. Good opportunity, Butterfree, use mental attack. Xuanjian saw the dawn of victory. As long as the chaos can last a little longer, he can win. You think it's too simple to win now, Lanternfish, use Liquid Circle. Uncle Ming ordered. Although Lanternfish was still in a state of confusion, it still successfully used the skill, and Lanternfish's physical strength began to recover. Although I am very embarrassed, I still ask for a ticket. Chapter 21 The Gap with the Masters. For most trainers, abnormal states of Pokémon are a very troublesome thing. But if we rank these abnormal states, the state of poisoning and burns that directly cause physical loss is the least threatening, followed by abnormal states such as freezing and paralysis that cause deceleration, which are very fatal to some Pokémon that rely on flexibility and speed, and the most serious are sleepiness, stiffness, and confusion. Once you are in these states, you can almost declare the game lost. But some powerful trainers break this law. They have the wholehearted trust of their Pokémon. When they receive orders, the Pokémon executes them completely subconsciously, completely bypassing the thinking process, which greatly reduces the impact of the chaotic state. This Uncle Ming is obviously such a trainer. So strong, compared to Sakura who is completely unable to control Pokémon after Pokémon is confused, Uncle Ming can actually let Pokémon use skills. The difference is not ordinary. Damn it, if I had known this would happen, I would have used poison powder first. I thought the opponent would fight with superb skills, but I didn't expect the opponent to use such a brutal and rough fighting style. I guess the mistake made me completely passive, no choice. One more time, Phantom Light. Although the damage caused was not great, the confusion state could ensure that the opponent could not cause effective damage to me, and using the buff skills also consumed a lot of physical strength. If the confusion state could continue, I still had hope of winning. Lanternfish, pray for rain. Uncle Ming once again ordered the confused Lanternfish to use a skill. Although the Lanternfish in the confused state could obey the trainer's orders, it was always affected and could not judge the opponent's position. If you use skills against the opponent, it will easily miss and counter-injure, but it is no problem to buff yourself or weather skills that do not require aiming. The patter of rain fell on the Lanternfish, and the water storage characteristics allowed it to further recover its physical strength, and the damage caused by Butterfree was almost completely recovered. At the same time, the rain curtain generated by praying for rain also had a certain impact on Butterfree in the air, and the Phantom Light was also weakened by the dense raindrops. Perhaps it was the effect of praying for rain. The Lanternfish actually got rid of the state of confusion and woke up. The experienced Uncle Ming immediately seized this opportunity and immediately ordered, Lanternfish, use Thunder Attack. Butterfree, use Telekinesis to control the rain to block it. Xuanjian ordered. The Lanternfish's skills were activated too quickly, and there was no time to combine the spinning to resist like last time, but during this time, Xuanjian also thought of a new countermeasure. Telekinesis carried the rain to form a water curtain around Butterfree. The violent electric current was blocked by the water curtain. The violent electric current evaporated a large amount of water, and a white mist appeared in the air. The white mist gradually dissipated, and Butterfree appeared in the air with its wings flapping. Although it consumed a lot of physical strength, it successfully weakened the damage caused by thunder. Good idea, Uncle Ming praised, but before Xuanjian could be proud, he continued to order lanternfish, electromagnetic wave. Not good, the humidity in the air has increased greatly, and the hit rate of electric skills must be greatly improved. The electromagnetic wave will definitely hit. Although the mysterious protection can prevent Butterfree from being in an abnormal state, the double damage is still unavoidable. Xuanjian tried every possible way, but none of them could solve the problem. Compared with the obvious electric current, electromagnetic waves are more difficult to defend against. Butterfree is still too young and has not grown up and learned enough skills to deal with various situations. I give up, Xuanjian admitted with difficulty, taking out the Pokeball to take back Butterfree. Butterfree dodged the light emitted by the Pokeball, fell to the ground, and withstood the attack of electromagnetic waves. This is feathered. Xuanjian was surprised. He didn't expect Butterfree to understand this skill at the critical moment. Feathered is a bug skill for Pokemon with flying attributes. When using this skill, the Pokemon will temporarily lose the flying attribute and restore half of its health. For Butterfree, using this skill can not only restore its health, but also lose the flying attribute that is restrained by the electric attribute, which is enough to survive this round of attacks. Okay, Butterfree, since you don't want to give up, then I will accompany you to the end. Butterfree, use Shadow Clone. At this time, the effect of praying for rain has stopped, and using Shadow Clone at this time will not be easily discovered. Butterfree created several Shadow Clones, flying in the air. Uncle Ming on the other side was also surprised by Butterfree's performance. He was stunned for a moment before he ordered, Lanternfish, Blizzard. Lanternfish immediately blew out a low-temperature blizzard from its mouth, and the remaining water vapor in the air was also condensed into ice beads. Under the action of the wind, it hit Butterfree. Although the power of these ice beads and snowflakes was not great, the Shadow Clones were shattered as soon as they were hit by the snowflakes and ice beads, leaving Butterfree's body exposed in the air. Butterfree, Xuanjian looked at Butterfree. This game was the most difficult one he had played since his debut. Whether it was the attributes and levels of the elves, or his own experience and level, he was completely suppressed. He saw how big the gap between himself and the masters was, and completely wiped out the little pride he had in winning the challenge against the Cerulean Gym. Hearing Xuanjian's call, Butterfree also turned his head and looked at Xuanjian. The trust in his eyes did not decrease at all, which made Xuanjian feel warm in his heart. Yes, I am still young, and my journey has just begun. I cannot give up easily and fail everyone's trust. Butterfree, let's fight. Use all your strength to use your mental power. Not bad, Lanternfish, use the last 100,000 volts. The skills of both sides hit each other, and Butterfree lost its fighting power and fell down in a flash of lightning. Lanternfish saw Butterfree fall down, stopped its skills, and wanted to return to Uncle Ming, but its legs went weak and it sat on the ground. Come back, Butterfree. Xuanjian took back Butterfree, which had lost its fighting power. You did a good job. Uncle Ming on the other side also took back Lanternfish, which was almost completely exhausted, nodded to Duogian left, and the spectators who were watching also laughed together. Thank you, Uncle Ming. Duoga murmured. Although Uncle Ming seemed to be disobeying his orders, Duoga knew that Uncle Ming was actually helping him in disguise. The elders in the family have always had an inexplicable sense of superiority over those trainers who came from civilian backgrounds, believing that the peasants were born to serve them. They would not easily agree to cooperate with Xuanjian, and Uncle Ming personally took action. If Xuanjian did not show enough strength and potential, Uncle Ming could shirk the past by saying that he was immature. Now Xuanjian performed much better than expected, so they had nothing to say. In addition, Uncle Ming's action also let Xuanjian know the strength of the family and made him dare not underestimate himself. Uncle Ming is he said that he would not take real action, but he didn't keep his word. Coming to Xuanjian, Duoga complained, but Xuanjian, you actually withstood so many rounds of attacks, and your performance is very good. Uncle Ming is very satisfied with you. Xuanjian smiled bitterly and shook his head. The gap between the two sides was so big that all his tactics became a joke. If he was not mature enough, he would definitely suffer a big blow. But in the end, he was also surprised that he could fight to this extent. Although he lost the game, he also gained a lot. Butterfree actually comprehended the powerful flying skill of Yusu. In the future, he will be much less restrained by attributes. This is also a big gain from this game. The second update is here. I will continue writing now. You will see the update when you wake up tomorrow morning. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Departure, Delay and Competition. The next morning, Xuanjian set off with Duo Gui. To the north of Cerulean City is the river estuary, where there is a bustling pier. The two will take a boat here to Orange Channel. It is undoubtedly a blessing to have a wealthy friend as a travel companion. Duo Gui directly booked a first-class ticket for a luxury cruise ship, which really allows him to travel at the same time. Since Duo Gui, a breeder, was traveling with him, Xuanjian naturally took the Magikarp back from the Cerulean gym and gave it to her to take care of it, at Duo Gui's suggestion. I don't know if it was because of the failure of evolution, but Magikarp actually broke through the restrictions of race and learned the 3 skills of Bubble Ray, Water Column Tail, and Waterfall Climbing. If this trip is successful, then the Magikarp that evolves into Gyarados will skip the intermediate and advanced levels and directly enter the elite stage. The location mentioned by Duoga is on the Orange Islands. This reminded Xuanjian of an episode in the Pokémon animation in his previous life where Magikarp gathered on a small island and evolved into Gyarados. However, it was too long ago and he had long forgotten the name of the island. Moreover, according to the description in the animation, that place could only increase the Magikarp's evolution rate. So Xuanjian kept it in his heart and did not say it out loud. This was the first time Xuanjian had enjoyed the luxurious room of the luxury cruise ship in his 2 lives. The room was extremely spacious and comfortable, and it was also equipped with some machines specially used by elves. Everyone come out, Xuanjian summoned all the elves. This room rate is very good, let's relax together. Xuanjian pointed to the various equipment that can provide massage, bathing, and care for the elves, and said to the elves. The elves also looked at these equipment curiously, which was something they had never seen before. Xuanjian helped the elves use the machines to relax. It must be said that although these machines are not very practical, they are still very suitable for enjoyment. Dong dong dong, the sound of knocking on the door interrupted Xuanjian and the elves' enjoyment. Xuanjian realized that a long time had passed. When he opened the door, it was Duoga standing outside. After leaving Cerulean City, Duoga changed from the gorgeous long skirt she had worn before to a youthful suit of shorts and short sleeves. Her slender thighs and slender arms showed off her owner's beauty all the time. Miss Duoga, what's the matter? No big deal, I just want to invite you, Mr. Xuanjian, to have lunch together, okay? Of course, I'm very honored to receive your invitation. By the way, we will be considered travel companions in the future, so don't be so unfamiliar. You call me Duoga and I call you Xuanjian, okay? Of course. Xuanjian didn't want to make it too troublesome. After all, the two of them were going to travel together for a long time. Following Duoga to the restaurant, the waiter had already prepared a sumptuous dinner, and even the elves had prepared delicious and nutritious food. Taking this opportunity, Xuanjian also saw Duoga's Pokémon. In addition to the Squirtle he had already seen, there were also Lanternfish and Ink Seahorse. Xuanjian also released his 4 Pokémon, and immediately a waiter brought them the most suitable food for them. This is the first time I've seen Charmander. So cute. Duoga walked over and looked at Charmander who was eating hard. Is Duoga also interested in non-water attribute Pokémon? Xuanjian asked curiously. He remembered that Xiaoxia was not very interested in Pokémon of other attributes except for beautiful ones, but she liked water-type Pokémon very much regardless of their appearance. Of course, Duoga nodded. I started reading the travel notes passed down by my family a long time ago. I learned a lot about Pokémon and I like every one of them very much. Is that so? Then Duoga, you will definitely become a very good breeder. Alice, it's a pity that the family needs an excellent trainer. Why? Isn't an excellent breeder more valuable than a trainer? Xuanjian couldn't understand it. If we use the concepts of some online games in our previous life, the trainer is actually the most basic career template. On this basis, researchers, observers, performers, breeders, etc. can be developed. These are equivalent to part-time jobs. Although they will distract some trainers' energy, they can also help trainers improve their strength. These branch professions are stronger than trainers of the same level because they have their own secret skills. But because the trainer puts all his heart and soul into improving the combat power of Pokémon, the combat power improves quickly and it is easier to break through the king. But for an organization, elite breeders are more valuable than ordinary kings, because the kings have limited abilities after all, and elite breeders can help create elite trainers one by one, surpassing the kings in number. Because of the alliance, forget it, let's not talk about this. Duoga didn't seem to want to talk in depth, and changed the subject. This cruise ship will arrive at Hasa Island, and we will travel on the Pokémon Dragon provided by the family. Is that okay? Of course, no problem. Xuanjian replied. Although it is more comfortable to take a cruise, the journey is too boring. If you can travel on a Pokémon, it must be much more interesting. The two stopped talking and turned back to the table to start eating their lunch. Suddenly, the ship swayed and a sharp alarm sounded. Xuanjian immediately tightened his Pokéball and complained in his heart, I'm not going to be silent, am I? How can I encounter such a cliché? What's going on? Duoga asked the waiter beside him with dissatisfaction in his tone. I'm sorry, I'll ask the captain right away. The waiter was also sweating profusely. He knew that the person in front of him was not an ordinary guest and he couldn't afford to offend him. The waiter dialed the captain's intercom and soon got the answer. Miss, the cruise ship accidentally hid a Pokémon called the King of the Howler Whales, so the alarm was triggered. But don't worry, our ship is very sturdy and has not been damaged. However, the scheduled route is occupied by the King of the Howler Whales that suddenly changed their route to migrate. The alliance requires us to wait in place until their migration is completed before we can continue sailing. King of the Howler Whales? How could this Pokémon appear in Kanto? Duoga, who has a family background in learning, naturally knows this Pokémon. I don't know about that. The waiter shook his head. Duoga also felt that this kind of thing was not something such a small shrimp could know, so he let him go and turned to Xuanjian and said, now our trip will be postponed. It's so unlucky that I actually encountered such a thing. Duoga complained. Xuanjian breathed a sigh of relief silently. Compared with some people taking what kind of transportation and what kind of transportation has problems, this is much better. However, it is said that this time the detention will last for a whole day. There are not many entertainment activities that I am interested in on this ship. It is boring enough to think about it. It seems that the captain has also considered this problem and soon decided to hold a Pokémon competition to liven up the atmosphere. After hearing this news, Xuanjian felt that this kind of journey detention is not necessarily a bad thing, because the winner of the competition will be rewarded with a Pokémon egg and a considerable bonus. This is exactly what Xuanjian wants. If this competition is held on land, there will definitely be a large number of trainers participating. With Xuanjian's current strength, the focus is on participation. However, it is different on a cruise ship. Not to mention that there are not many trainers of sufficient weight participating. Even if there are, these trainers may not bring powerful Pokémon with them, which is equivalent to giving Xuanjian a good opportunity. Without any hesitation, Xuanjian signed up. This chapter is a necessary transition plot. Please wait patiently. The excitement is in the next chapter. Finally, please vote. Chapter 23, Arena Competition. Since there was a ring for trainers and passengers to entertain on the cruise ship, it only needed a little processing and arrangement to be used as a standard venue, so the competition venue was arranged in one afternoon. The next morning, whether it was the trainers who were preparing to participate in the competition or the pure spectators, everyone gathered on the deck, and the deck was very lively for a while. According to the competition rules, 8 rings were set up on the ship, and the 8 trainers who successfully defended the rings could enter the semifinals. Xuanjian came to a ring and saw that no one went up. I think everyone was reluctant to go up so early to consume physical energy. Duoga, I'll go up first. Xuanjian said to Duoga, who came to watch the excitement. Duoga has a fear of battles, and he can't participate in such a competition before he overcomes it. Don't you wait? It's a disadvantage to go up too early. Duoga couldn't understand Xuanjian's approach. No, my main purpose is to train Pokémon through battles, not just for prizes. Xuanjian shook his head. For trainers, their own strength is the foundation of their lives. If they take shortcuts to win the game, It would be putting the cart before the horse. It is difficult for people who do this to achieve success. After saying this, Xuanjian immediately went up to the ring, and this action immediately ignited the atmosphere of the whole venue. Someone went up. It's just a little ghost. Is he a cannon fodder released by others to attract firepower? The crowd immediately talked about it, but few people were willing to go up on the stage, fearing that they would fall into someone else's trap. Xuanjian didn't care about this. Although these people shouted loudly, their strength was actually not very good. Xuanjian quietly waited for his opponent. Time passed little by little. Finally, someone couldn't help it and jumped onto the ring. I am the terrifyingest, little ghost, admit defeat quickly. The man tried to scare Xuanjian away. A nickname without any new ideas, a boring idea. Xuanjian commented, come out, Charmander. Haha, you are indeed a novice, so impatient that you actually took out your Pokémon first, you are doomed to lose. Ozhe was overjoyed when he saw Xuanjian take out Charmander, come out, crab. Admit defeat, kid, my attributes restrain you, you can't beat me. You want to defeat me with a Pokémon that is not good at water skills at all, don't dream. Although his Charmander's attributes are unfavorable, its combat power is definitely much better than that of the crab. It doesn't look very good. 2 players, get ready, 3, 2, 1, start. The crew member who is acting as a temporary referee announced. The defenders will attack first, so let's go, Charmander, smoke. During this period of time, the combat power of the Pokémon in Xuanjian's hands has increased rapidly. The original strongest Charmander is no longer the strongest. How can the arrogant Charmander bear it? In addition, the opportunity to fight is rare, and Charmander is almost crazy. Today, he can show his heroic spirit, and Charmander is very excited. Although Charmander didn't have many opportunities to fight, he trained very hard and improved his strength greatly. He learned several new skills, one of which was smoke. Charmander opened his mouth and a cloud of smoke came out. The field was immediately covered by the smoke. Crab became a little nervous and was not used to the hot and choking air in the smoke. He moved around anxiously. Crab used the bubble beam to attack Charmander. Ozhe was also infected by Crab's anxiety and ordered without thinking. Stupid, Xuanjian shook his head. The smoke screen reduced the visibility on the field. Only Pokémon with sharp eyesight characteristics would not be affected, but there was no doubt that Crab could not have such characteristics. Charmander moved quickly and avoided Crab's attack. As a fire attribute Pokémon, Charmander had no discomfort except low visibility when hiding in the smoke. Charmander used Dragon's Fury at the place where the attack came from. Xuanjian ordered. Although he couldn't see the position of Crab clearly, he could judge the opponent's position through its attack. Charmander, who had been prepared for a long time, immediately opened his mouth and shot a ball of energy at the crab. The crab failed to dodge in time and was immediately hit by the Dragon's Fury. The crab was not of high level, and the Dragon's Fury made it lose its combat effectiveness. As could only go down the stage in disgrace. After As went down, 3 trainers came up, using Rattata, Beedrill, and Meowth respectively, but they were all too weak and were quickly defeated by Xuanjian. For a while, the onlookers realized that Xuanjian still had some strength, so few people came up. And Xuanjian also saw the strength of ordinary civilian trainers. Although it is said that masters are among the people, due to the lack of education, information, and resources, most of the people are small fish. I'm here to challenge you. A young man stood up and summoned a Pidgeot. It looks quite powerful. Xuanjian looked at the Pidgeot with shiny feathers and cheered up, Charmander, sparks. Charmander opened his mouth and sprayed a ball of sparks at Pidgeot. Although he had learned to spray fire, sparks were more useful for this extremely fast-flying Pokémon, and the improved sparks were much more powerful than before. Pidgeot, fierce wind, blow the attack back. Pidgeot flapped its powerful wings, rolled up a strong airflow, and blew the sparks back. Now, Charmander, flame spray. The purpose of the sparks was to lure the attack and make Pidgeot stay in one place. Otherwise it would be difficult to hit the flying Pidgeot. The sparks sprayed from Charmander's mouth merged together and turned into a thick column of fire, hitting Pidgeot accurately. The flames ignited Pidgeot's feathers while causing damage, making Pidgeot a little panicked. Don't panic, Pidgeot, use Feather Dance. The other party ordered calmly, and this calmness infected Pidgeot, and Pidgeot immediately responded to the trainer's order, shooting out all the flaming feathers on its body, avoiding the secondary damage caused by the flames. Charmander, Ghost Face. Xuanjian did not continue to attack. The feather dance blocked his sight, and it was not easy to hit the target now. It was better to slow down the opponent first. Pippi Bird, Lightning Flash. The opponent also gave an order, wanting to interrupt Charmander before he could use his skills. After receiving the order, Pippi Bird immediately rushed towards Charmander and hit Charmander's belly hard, interrupting Charmander's skills. Charmander, grab Pippi Bird and use Flame Fang. Pippi Bird's close attack interrupted Charmander's skills, but also sent itself in front of Charmander. Charmander endured the pain and reached out to grab Pippi Bird, who wanted to leave. He opened his mouth and bit Pippi Bird with his flaming teeth. Pippi Bird, attack with wings. Seeing that Pippi Bird could not escape, the opponent also ordered Pippi Bird to counterattack. Pippi Bird's powerful wings hit Charmander heavily, causing considerable damage. Charmander, bite Pippi Bird and hit the ground. Xuanjian ordered. Charmander doesn't know how to throw on the earth yet, so it can only cause damage by simulating the action. Although the damage is lower than that caused by the real skill, it should not be underestimated. However, at this time, the tacit understanding between the trainer and the Pokémon will be tested, because such an attack will undoubtedly cause damage to the Pokémon itself. If the tacit understanding is not deep enough, the Pokémon will hesitate or even refuse to do so. Fortunately, Charmander and Xuanjian have deep enough trust. Charmander executed Xuanjian's order without hesitation, biting Pidgeot and slammed into the ground. The force used by Charmander was so great that even the people watching the game felt the ground shaking. When the collision was over, Charmander climbed up from the ground, and on the ground was Pidgeot, which had lost its combat power. You are very strong, and I deserve to lose. The opponent took back Pidgeot and left the ring without looking back. Tomorrow is the weekend and I will rest and stay up late for 3 more updates. I will go to right now, please vote for me. But the 3 more updates will be very late. You can also get up tomorrow morning to read. Chapter 24, entering the semifinals. Looking at the Charmanders, who were already panting and staggering, Xuanjian knew that they had already consumed a lot of energy. They could not exchange artifacts for treasures while defending the ring, so Xuanjian took out a Pokeball. Well done, come back and rest for a while, Charmander. There are still many games for you to play in the future. Charmander nodded and was obediently taken back by Xuanjian. Leave Charmander to me, I will take it to the treatment. Duoga said to Xuanjian in the audience. Xuanjian nodded, handed the Pokeball to Duoga, and took out another Pokeball. Come out, Zubat. Xuanjian planned to train these 2 little guys with great potential more and try to make them evolve as soon as possible. As for Butterfree, it did not need to rush to fight after it had just evolved, but needed to do a lot of training to fully master the huge improvement brought by evolution. The people in the audience were frightened by Xuanjian's fierce battle. For a while, few people dared to come on stage. Xuanjian had to use the method of provoking. What, are you scared, you cowards? You are actually frightened by a newbie like me, it's incredible. Xuanjian's words angered many people. Suddenly, several impulsive people came to challenge, but they were quickly sent away, giving Zubat experience in vain. Too weak. Xuanjian continued to provoke. Let me meet you. A trainer who looked not much older than Xuanjian climbed onto the ring. Go on, Bulbasaur. It's Bulbasaur, one of the 3 starter Pokémons. Finally, a good opponent has come. Xuanjian saw that a decent opponent had finally come, and he cheered up. Zubat, Ultrasonic. Bulbasaur, use the Vine Whip to jump up. At the opponent's command, Bulbasaur used the Vine Whip to help his body jump high and escape from the range of the ultrasonic attack. Creative, I like it. Zubat, Wing Attack. Zubat immediately turned into a black lightning upon hearing the order, and performed a difficult move, hitting Bulbasaur from behind and above, hitting Bulbasaur with its powerful wings, knocking it back to the ground. Bulbasaur, use Leaf Blade. Bulbasaur, who fell to the ground, immediately shot Leaf Blade at Zubat in the air. Zubat dodged one leaf, but was hit in the abdomen by another leaf. For Zubat, whose defense and physical strength were relatively weak, this attack caused considerable damage. Zubat's movements could not help but slow down. Good opportunity, keep attacking, Parasite Seed. Seeing that the attack was effective, the trainer immediately ordered. Zubat, Air Cut. Parasite Seed is a troublesome skill, and what's more troublesome is that Zubat seems to have no effective means to stop it. There was no other way, so Xuanjian had to try to stop it with air cut. Bulbasaur sprayed a green seed from its back and hit Zubat. Zubat flapped its wings and sent out air blades to shoot at Bulbasaur. Unfortunately, Zubat was not very good at this skill. The difficulty of making the wind blade hit the parasitic seed was completely a matter of luck for it. But luck was not on Zubat's side. The parasitic seed was not hit by the air blade, but fell on Zubat. The parasitic seed that fell on Zubat immediately took root and sprouted, and began to absorb Zubat's physical strength and send it to Bulbasaur. When the air blade hit Bulbasaur, it also caused huge damage due to the double attribute restraint. Zubat, ultrasonic wave. Bulbasaur, jump up again. The opponent's trainer still repeated the last order. It would rather risk physical damage than chaos. Anyway, there is parasitic seed to replenish physical strength. Zubat, suck blood. Xuanjian had a smile on his lips. Due to race and level reasons, Zubat's physical strength is lower than Bulbasaur, and the physical strength absorbed by the parasitic seed is not enough to restore too much physical strength to Bulbasaur. The insect-type blood-sucking skill caused double damage, allowing Zubat to recover a lot of physical strength and completely make up for the physical loss. After the successful sneak attack, Zubat did not want to fight and flew away immediately, leaving Bulbasaur's counterattack with a Vine Whip empty. Zubat, Shadow Clone. Zubat immediately split into a series of shadows. After a period of training, Zubat has made great progress. Compared with the last time, it can already flexibly control the shadows. Bulbasaur, use the Vine Whip to break them up. The opponent ordered. Zubat, suck blood. Zubat controlled the shadows to pounce on Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur was dazzled by the large number of shadows in front of him and could not tell who was real and who was fake. As a result, Zubat bit him again. After being attacked again, Bulbasaur could no longer resist and completely lost his fighting power. Seeing that Xuanjian defeated a powerful opponent again, the crowd of onlookers affirmed Xuanjian's strength. Xuanjian put away Zubat. It also suffered a lot of damage in this battle. If a powerful opponent came up, it would be difficult to win with Zubat. In addition, there was a game in the afternoon, so he could not squeeze his physical strength too much. After handing the Pokémon over to Duoga, Xuanjian did not summon any more Pokémon, nor did he provoke the crowd. He only had 3 Pokémon that could fight, and if all of them were exposed, it would be easy for the opponent to target them, so if no one challenged him, he would not take the initiative to expose Butterfree. Perhaps because they were shocked by Xuanjian's strength, the crowd of onlookers talked a lot, but no one came on stage until the referee announced that Xuanjian had qualified for the semifinals. Congratulations on your successful entry into the semifinals. Duoga congratulated Xuanjian. Thank you, but it's because the opponent in the competition is not strong, so I got an advantage. Luck is also part of strength. Duoga handed 2 Pokeballs to Xuanjian. I have tried my best to restore Zubat and Charmander, but the time is too short. Even in the afternoon, I can only guarantee that they can have 70% to 80% of their full combat power. It doesn't matter, it's enough. Thank you. Nothing, do well in the afternoon, I will go to cheer you on. I won't disturb you, have a good rest. Duoga said and left Xuanjian's room. It's a blessing to have an excellent breeder as a travel companion. Without the help of multi-track, my Pokémon would have been lucky to maintain half of their combat power. Now I understand why Xuanjian can make it to the top 16 of the Quartz tournament. Breeders may not be as professional as medical professionals like Joey in treating Pokémon's injuries, but they are still good at recuperating and breeding Pokémon. Most breeders are proficient in massage, diet therapy, and other methods that can quickly help Pokémon recover without any future problems. So a breeder companion is simply the best choice for home travel competitions. The lunch break passed quickly, and the afternoon rematch began. The 8 players who won the morning defense will participate in the rematch. They will randomly play 2 versus 2 games, and the 4 winners will enter the semifinals. During lunch at noon, Xuanjian knew his opponent. It was a middle-aged uncle named Kurosawa. According to his performance in the morning, the opponent was very strong. He almost defeated an opponent in 2 or 3 moves. It is said that he has the highest chance of winning the championship among the 8 people who entered the rematch. The 3rd update is here. I'm so sleepy, I'm going to sleep. Good night everyone. Chapter 25, Battle against Kurosawa. My opponent is you? You are so young. The middle-aged uncle named Kurosawa couldn't help but sigh when he saw Xuanjian coming on stage. Xuanjian didn't reply, but just nodded slightly. Seeing the two people on stage, the audience immediately shouted, "Xuanjian, come on! Xuanjian, come on!" After the morning competition, Xuanjian also gained some fans, and Kurosawa on the other side also had his own fans. "Kurosawa, you must win. I bet on you to win." Blocking the surrounding noise, Xuanjian quietly waited for the referee to announce the start of the game. This competition will be in the form of 2 versus 2. Please, two trainers, please determine the Pokémon to be used. Xuanjian hesitated for a moment and took out the Pokéball containing Charmander and Zubat from his waist. Now is only the rematch, and it is not time to use the strongest combat power Butterfree. Through random drawing, it is decided that trainer Kurosawa will attack first. Is that okay? No problem. The two said in unison. The impact of attacking first and then second is not big. Then please prepare, trainers. 3, 2, 1, start. Immediately, the two trainers attacked at the same time and threw out the Pokemon ball. Come out, Charmander. Go, Rhydon. Xuanjian noticed that when the opponent threw the Pokemon ball, he turned his wrist flexibly and put the Pokemon that was about to be thrown into his sleeve. When he reappeared, he released Rhydon. Damn, both the ground and the rock are restrained twice. The opponent's Pokemon actually completely restrained himself. It was really troublesome. Was there something strange about the action just now? As if seeing Xuanjian's doubts, Kurosawa did not hide it and said to Xuanjian, "This is a skill. Use a flexible wrist to choose a Pokemon with an advantage in attributes according to the opponent's Pokemon at the moment the opponent throws the ball. As long as the speed is fast enough and all actions are completed within 3 seconds, it will not be judged as a violation of the rules. Brother, you still have a lot of skills to learn." "Very useful skills," Xuanjian nodded, not too angry. As long as the rules allow, it is also his ability to find loopholes. This technique requires a bit of luck in 2 versus 2. After all, the chance of having a Pokemon that just restrains the opponent is not high, but if it is put into a 6 versus 6 match, the advantage will be great. "No more nonsense, I'm going to attack," Kurosawa said. "Charmander, come back." Xuanjian took out the Pokéball and wanted to exchange the Charmander, whose attributes were completely unfavorable. "If I want you to successfully exchange Pokemon, then everything just now will be in vain. Rhydon, use no passage." Rhydon smashed his hands hard, and pieces of energy-made stones appeared behind Charmander, blocking the rays emitted by the Pokéball. Kurosawa's move eliminated the possibility of Xuanjian exchanging Pokemon. Xuanjian had to take back the Pokéball and gave up the idea of exchanging Pokemon. "It's completely passive, there's no choice but to go, Charmander, Dragon's Fury." Charmander doesn't care whether the attributes are unfavorable. For it, this kind of brain-intensive matter is left to Xuanjian, it only needs to fight wholeheartedly. Hearing Xuanjian's order, a ball of energy immediately sprayed out of its mouth to hit Rhydon. Rumble Rock, use rounding first, then rolling. Rumble Rock was also not slow to move. He first used rounding to make his body look more round and smooth, and then immediately began to roll. The Dragon's Fury hit the rolling Rumble Rock, and was evenly borne by all parts of his body, so the damage caused was not obvious. Rumble Rock resisted the Dragon's Fury and continued to rush towards Charmander. No, Charmander's power is completely unable to stop Rumble Rock from rolling, and he can't resist it head-on. Charmander dodges the attack and continues to use Dragon's Fury. Charmander flexibly avoided the Rumble Rock that was rushing over, and once again used Dragon's Fury to hit Rumble Rock, but it still did not cause very effective damage. Rumble Rock turned in a direction and continued to rush towards Charmander, and the speed was getting faster and faster. At this time, Charmander suddenly opened his mouth without waiting for Xuanjian's order, and spurted out a large ball of flames. The flames formed a vortex and trapped Rumble Rock. Flame Whirlpool, good job, Charmander. Xuanjian had been training Charmander for this skill for a long time, but he had never been able to learn it. He didn't expect that he would suddenly understand it now. Although the fire skill Flame Whirlpool does not cause much damage due to the attribute restrained, it can trap the Rumble Stone. Even if it cannot interrupt the rolling, it can reduce the power of the rolling. How can I let you interrupt the rolling of the Rumble Stone so easily? Rumble Stone, rush out with force. Charmander, use Jet Flame to push the Rumble Stone back. Although the damage caused is lower than that of Dragon's Wrath, the impact of Jet Flame is stronger, and Charmander is more skilled in using it. The main purpose now is to stop the rolling of the Rumblestone, so Xuanjian decisively used Jet Flame. The flame sprayed by Charmander rushed at the Rumblestone, suppressing it and preventing it from breaking through the blockade of the flame vortex, while the Rumblestone continued to rush out with force. The two sides were wrestling, and suddenly, the body of the Rumblestone sank suddenly, and the rolling was interrupted. The ground is broken. Xuanjian and Kurosawa found the reason why the rolling of the Rumblestone was interrupted at the same time. Although the venue here is an ordinary venue, it is on the deck of a cruise ship after all, which is incomparable to the venue set up on the ground on land. Although it is made of very thick steel plates and is very strong, the hard steel plates have softened under the repeated hitting of flames. In addition, the heavy body of the Rumblestone has caused the steel plates to deform severely, and the Rumblestone has also fallen into it, causing the rolling to be interrupted. At this time, a white light came out of Charmander's body and evolved into Charmeleon. The evolution of Pokémon is an extremely mysterious thing. Although researchers have summarized the basic evolution level, it does not mean that it will definitely evolve when it reaches that level, and it cannot evolve if it does not reach that level. It is also related to the Pokémon's mental state, physical development, environment, etc. The level of Charmander has exceeded the minimum requirement for evolution, but it has not evolved for a long time. This is also what Xuanjian has been worried about. However, in order not to add burden to Charmander, it has not been shown. Now Charmander has finally evolved successfully, which makes Xuanjian relieved. As the evolution was completed, a mighty Charmeleon appeared in front of everyone. Xuanjian was about to order Charmeleon to attack in one go, but Kurosawa suddenly spoke. Xuanjian, if your Charmeleon can't defend this kind of skills, how about this game being a draw? We'll decide the winner with the remaining Pokémon. Will your Raiden self-destruct? Xuanjian was now in the upper hand on the field. The field in front of him couldn't bear Raiden's full strength, and Charmander had evolved again. It can be said that Xuanjian had a greater chance of winning. But Kurosawa proposed to count it as a draw under such circumstances, so the only explanation was that Raiden would self-destruct. Well, this kind of skill of mutual destruction must be learned. Okay, then come back and rest first, Charmeleon. Xuanjian took back Charmeleon. Although Charmeleon's combat effectiveness has been improved due to evolution and its physical strength has been restored, the opponent has an attribute advantage after all. Even if it doesn't use self-destruction, the outcome of the fight is unknown. If Xuanjian bites and doesn't let go, Charmeleon will undoubtedly suffer huge damage if Raiden uses self-destruction, which is not conducive to tomorrow's game. Moreover, the competition venue where the two were located was set up on a yacht after all. If they used a powerful skill like self-destruction, it would cause a lot of trouble, so the other party's request and concerns were reasonable. Come out, Zubat. Xuanjian summoned his next Pokémon. On the other side, Kurosawa also took back the Rumblestone and summoned a cat boss. You are really confident. You didn't even send out your trump card. Kurosawa looked at Xuanjian Zubat. Although it was well cultivated, its combat power was weak after all. According to his investigation, Xuanjian should have a more powerful Pokémon. Zubat is enough. Xuanjian replied. After all, there will be a semi-final tomorrow. If Butterfree, the strongest player at present, is allowed to appear too early, it will be easy to be targeted tomorrow. Since you are so confident, just pretend I didn't say anything. Let's start. This time you attack first. I have something to do in the afternoon. I should be able to write the third update in the evening. Please vote. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.